All right, everybody, what's up? This is Lazergician here for WarpMeta weekly event number 51. I am joined by the ever wonderful Ianbits. How you doing, Ian?
I'm doing okay. I'm currently wading through some friends list bugs, but aside from that, I'm doing just fine.
I mean, that's not like the worst way to be at the beginning of a tournament, right? We got a whole bunch of rounds in front of us, got some awesome people in the bracket, some awesome decks to watch. I feel like friends list problems are kind of the least of our concerns, so we'll be into the game pretty shortly once those are sorted out. But how do you feel about checking out some deck lists?
Absolutely, we have some interesting ones. We're gonna start, I think, with the less interesting ones. We're gonna go with the control decks that we're looking at from Rocket Boy 273, one of the 10 people on this planet Earth that has the top 10 card back. I believe he did it with Aggro Redoran, but he is more known for his control decks, and that's what he brought today.
So deck number one is a Rage Dagoth list. This is
Oh, we don't actually have that. That one was banned.
oh sweet. So in that case, we will be ignoring that one. Looks like next up is a Doomcrag Redoran list,
Yes.
at least according to my ordering. This is a deck that's looking to utilize the power of Doomcrag Vampire, given everything lethal in a lane, control the game, and then get to Journey to Sovngarde, and then pumping things out with Namira Shrine and Disciple of Namira, get some real big boys out one after another.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people experiment with the late game Redoran archetypes recently. There's a bunch of different ways you can go with it. You can go with this. I think most people have, if you're running Doomcrag, you've gone the conscription route, just because you need to find something to filter your deck a little bit faster to make up for not playing warrior. And that's what he's gone through here. We've seen some people do the Rage archetype as well. Rocket Boy's just going with this. Seems like he's more comfortable with Conscription. Not super familiar with this archetype. I definitely like the way this is built compared to normal Conscription Veterans, because this is a traditional control deck. This isn't like a lot of the Conscription Veterans you'll see on ladder, which are just all of the aggro 2-drops and then all of the hard removal and then Conscription. This is very much built to be a late game deck to grind people out with a bunch of stats in the late game and go from there.
Yeah, this is one that I actually have a good amount of experience with. It's very similar to traditional Doomcrag warrior lists, and the benefit of yellow is that you get a couple of those nice removal tools like Edict of Azura, but the main one that you buy yourself is Praetorian Commander, making your pulls from places conscription, if you happen to draw that before Journey, really, really solid. And also yellow's early drops like Bruma Profiteer and the Redoran Forerunner add some nice stability in the early game.
Mm-hmm.
Deck number three is going to be a traditional control tribunal list, one of those ones we all know and love, trying to get some prophecies in there, nice yellow hard removal, and the blue damage-based removal to keep the board as clear as possible for as long as we can manage.
Yeah, and one interesting thing you'll see here is compared to, I think, a lot of lists which have gone with the Shrine route, he's going with Wilds Incarnate as the top end instead, or not necessarily the top end, as the draw engine, which is, it's weird to say that Wilds Incarnate is the less greedy option, but it really is compared to something like Shrine, because this is going to be a little bit less dead against aggro. Both are basically for the control versus control matchups, but Wilds Incarnate can get value against aggro a lot easier than something like Shrine. So lower to the ground even than you would expect from a deck like this. Not even running the Memory Wraith, which makes sense in a tournament setting, because you can bet with a list like this that if he sees a Ramp Warrior, that's getting instantly banned. Because
Yeah.
instead of including, and this is very smart because of what a ban does for you, instead of including all these tech options that people feel compelled to do, like a Hollow Death Priest and Memory Wraith, he replaced those with Prophecies to make this, okay, if you're running an aggro deck against this, you are just done.
Yeah, if you really want to go for it, you can. That's not the one you're going to want to be running. The other thing that I'm noticing here is I've seen a lot of experimentation with tribunal control late game, trying to figure out exactly what the best things to put on that top end are. And it looks like Rocket Boy is opting for Laneth and two of the Supreme Atromancers, thinking, I have plenty of value and prophecies over the course of the game, maybe teching a little bit for specifically the aggro match, because banning out the other control decks, I think, probably makes a good amount of sense.
Yeah, so this is like if he does end up getting to in the control versus control matchup, he doesn't want to play the grindy game because his
No.
deck's just not built for that. He wants to play I'd term this as more like a cheesy game. He wants to play Atromancer, Necromancer to bring back Atromancer using the Divine Fervor, and maybe close the game out. Because if you get into a grindy game, you're not going to win with this style of list. You just don't have the tools that the opponents do. But Atromancer's a good way to say, okay, I don't want to grind anything. I just want to kill you. You have to deal with this, and then you have to deal with it again, and that's not easy to do. So
Yeah, Supreme Batromancer gonna try and get it done. On the other hand, we have Ryzen High, the opponent for this
and
first
we
round.
saw his warrior get banned.
Yes, his warrior has been banned. Ryzen High already made it through the first round of the bracket. This is, in fact, the second round of the bracket. We're just starting a little bit deeper into it today. First non-banned deck that I see is going to be a neutral splash Redoran deck.
Yes.
I think that's kind of interesting. I think you were talking, Ian, about how Ryzen High often likes to use these neutral package decks or packages in control decks.
Yes, so he runs something that I think appears as aggro on the surface to a lot of people, but really when you look at it, it is a lot more akin to control, or something like infinite resource aggro is something that people would talk about. A good comparison is if you were around when he played them, and Snaxy Man in this tournament, by the way, but Snaxy Man's old Factotum like Assassin and Sorcerer lists, where
Ian, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. It looks like they are in-game and on turn 2.
Oh. All right, well...
Ryzen High is starting off with this very deck that we're talking about. We have a Redoran Mirror, both looking to go somewhat late. Rocket Boy opening up with a little bit of ramp alongside that 5th Legion Trainer, and Ryzen High getting some neutral package value, getting those 2-for-1 minions out because of having the other neutral cards in hand. Ryzen High going to continue, but does not get the proc off of the mechanical ally, but does manage to buy some nice board control. Rocket Boy looking at some draw options in his hand. So that is going to be an Endoro Mastermind coming down, and Rocket Boy is going to pop down the Redoran Forerunner as well, get a little bit of life back, try and keep Ryzen High's board as sparse as possible. Ryzen High looking at some draw options as well. Double Camel in hand. Divine Fervor next turn possibly, and a Douchnik there for some support removal or pinging off either one of these. Probably going to be saving for the supports, because if you're running into Rocket Boy's list, I believe Rocket Boy's list was in fact running the Divine Fervors? No, but is running the Shrines.
He's running triple Praetorian Commander over Fervor, which makes sense. I don't think you want to go with both of those, especially using Journey in the deck. It's not necessarily a strict win condition, it's just to make your stuff a little bit harder to deal with. So I think you don't really want both, and he went with the Commander in this line.
Ooh, Ryzen High. Not actually getting anything down quite yet. Also worth noting, you were right. Rocket Boy does have that top 10 card back, and my god, that thing is beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous. But yeah, it's really interesting how Ryzen High plays these decks, because he changes the pace of this quite a bit based on how the game is going. And in this sort of thing, it's going to be interesting to see how much he really wants to play this grinding sort of style against a Doomcrag, which just loves to play that sort of style. But that's kind of where he is. Rocket Boy's in a nice spot having the Douchnik, because that's the biggest source of frustration for these kinds of decks, is the Halls of the Dwemer and the Divine Fervor coming down with no answer. Rocket Boy has the answer to the first one, but he's running a little bit low on cards here.
Important thing, Ryzen High does have the swollest camel that we've seen today, so yes. that's relevant.
Well,
Boy.
We'll see if we can beat that. That's good, but that's not unbeatable. We'll see if we can get a bigger camel by the end of the day.
Yeah, it is halfway to hump day from the last hump day, so, Rocket Boy looking at recursion options with the Odinir Necromancer is going to be the play. Wonder what the draw for that's going to be. Oh, can I not see? Oh, there it is. Endoro Mastermind, that makes sense. Getting some draw options, trying to keep card advantage, and also can contest pretty well alongside the Odinir Necromancer.
Yep. Just still expecting, I think this is going to be a grindy game, despite the fact that, Ryzen High is presenting a good amount of stats. I think he respects the deck list. He respects what the game plan is for Ryzen High, and he's still just going to go for the draw here and try to beat him that way. The second Douchnik is just a fantastic pickup. It's going to be really hard for Ryzen High to get repetitive value out of these supports, which is what his deck is based around.
Yeah, and given that it is based on supports, the Grumite Magus, the one new card included in Rocket Boy's version of this deck, probably not going to grab all that much value, seeing as you're really looking to get rid of the supports instead. So I think that makes a whole bunch of sense pitching that one.
Yeah, Rising High mostly has the actions, just has the removal actions, and Rocket Boy is running a lot of these local. He's running a conscription deck. I think we've all played, played those tribunal games where we have nothing but jabs against a board full of 2-drops, and it's not a ton of fun. So.
Well, we'll see what Rising High decides to go with here. Halls in hand, not a ton of value at present, but getting those on board if you think you have the read that there's no support removal is always an option. But you have to imagine, if you're envisioning this game going long one way or the other, there's no rush to put that down now.
No, it's interesting because, again, I think Rising High is going to need to detect the pace of this game in an interesting way and figure out exactly what his gameplay needs to be, and I'm expecting that it's going to change after we see this Halls of the Dwemer get knocked down, potentially maybe see him start to go a little bit more aggressive.
Interesting noting that Halls came down and not contributing towards face damage yet, deciding that, I was keeping the board clear is probably the priority here. Rocket Boy does draw the first Praetorian Commander. That's one of those cards that the earlier you get it down, the better value it's going to provide over the course of the game. Because the first +1/+1, great. Then you recur that with a buffed up Odemira Necromancer, you give everything else +1/+1 again. And then after Journey, it gets even more ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the big thing. With two Necromancers still left in the deck, that's pretty great. One interesting piece of anti-synergy I didn't actually think about is if he buffs these Firebrands too much, it's going to be hard to cycle him with the Namira, but I guess that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Whoever complained about having free 2/2 chargers.
Ah, dang it. My free cards are too good. What am I supposed to do?
Rising High looking at a little bit of an awkward hand here. No good way to proc the Ash Berserker. No supports to remove with Dushnik. Crusader's Assault is looking alright, but there's something you can't clear already. So do you value the card draw? Do you value developing some long-term strength in the Divine Fervor? It's a hard call. Decides to go with the Crusader's Assault onto the increasingly swole camel.
Yep, we've gotten up to 6 attacks, so that's the new one to beat. Sharpshooter's Scout's actually really good here.
Yeah, that is a very high value non-Doomcrag
he's holding it back. Okay. I mean, fair enough when you got the Tree Minder out there, but it's a good card in this matchup just because you see a lot of the times you end up with the attack buffs over the health buffs. Sharpshooter Scout being able to kill a Spider Worker, which is either a 3/1 or a 6/1 a lot of cases in this match, is very valuable.
There's also the fact that comboing that with Amir's Shrine for the immediate card draw, not having to worry about having other cheap stuff in hand. So Rocket Boy is going to trim down the field lane just a bit. Rising High, Dwarven Sphere on the draw. Nice tempo tool, but doesn't really feel like it's exactly necessary right now, so Rising High will take the time, develop this fervor, get a nice trade, and the Shackle will come down, just kind of establishing board control.
And crucially, we saw the Dushnik come down for Rising High against a Shrine list. So we have the Edict of Azura was picked up, which is quite nice for him. It kind of undoes that problem, but...
Yeah, Rocket Boy can end up getting exactly one draw off of this first Shrine. Assuming the Sharpshooter comes down, or the Barrow Stalker would make sense as well.
Yeah, it's just a matter of which one he's using. He's always getting that trend trigger. But the Edict of Azura is going to quickly answer that. Now we're back to... this hand's not looking great for Rocket Boy. Not really looking great in terms of pushing long-term damage for either side, but a little bit better for Rising High just because he's got that camel in hand, which is hopefully going to find something that helps trigger this Ash Berserker, and then you just keep going from there and keep this draw cycle going. Rocket Boy doesn't have any way to start that, so just interesting. They've gone back and forth just removing supports, but Rising High has come out the other end with a couple more cards in hand.
Do you remember when Ash Berserker and 5th Legion Trainer was enough to get you there?
I miss those
That's
days.
all you needed?
Unnerf Outpost.
Do you miss those days? Are you sure you miss them?
Oh, I very much miss those days. It wouldn't be good now. It wouldn't be good now. They've not controlled down too many pegs, but at the time, Ash Berserker was the last bastion of hope.
Reisenhai decided to go
Training is
face,
over.
interestingly,
It's
saying, you know what,
time
I
to
might
act.
not have enough resource generation to keep this game going long. Rocket Boy crucially draws that Doomcrag Vampire.
Yeah, Doomcrag is nice here. I'm not sure if you actually necessarily need to play it. Staring down only 2 cards, no supports. You have the ability to
While you
just
have a
contest
Drain creature in Shadow.
Yeah, you have the ability to just contest with your creatures here, which is valuable. If you
My
have the
arrow
time to
shall
do that,
fly
then I
true.
don't mind taking it.
You don't even need to drop their Profiteer, you already have a way to contest the Dwarven Sphere.
Yeah.
Weisenhai getting Yagram Bargain is nice, that is some resource extension, but how long can it really last?
It's a little bit of resource extension. He's running the Stronghold Incubators specifically for that reason, to bring back, I think, with Yagram Bagarn and potentially with Necromancer. Because only drawing 1 card isn't necessarily what he wants, although the Dwarven Dynamo is a good 1 card to hit. Now the resources have flipped back due to his decision to kind of go in there rather than play the Camel, take it slow, and try to continue to grind Rocket Boy.
From the love
He's in a bit more of a rough spot here.
We did see Reisenhai struggle to decide over the placement of Yagram, which I think is a very fair thing to take a moment on, because you're going to want to contest this Barrowstalker at some point eventually. You can't let it keep going on for forever, otherwise you'll never be able to close this game out. So deciding field lane is where that goes, and then the Dwarven Dynamo is going to be contesting in Shadow.
Yeah.
Rocket Boy, Halalu Sharpshooter can take out that Dynamo really effectively.
And he's, again, I don't know if he's even compelled to do that. We have 2 hard removals in hand, essentially, with the Sharpshooter and the Doomcrag. You've got the Dynamo already contested on board. You've got 2 Brumas in hand. Now, we know that there's an Ash Berserker in the hand for Rising High, so he really, really wants this 5/3 to live, but Rocket Boy may just think, okay, I don't care if this thing lives or not. I'm in a fine spot. Like, I don't care if I take 7. I have heal in hand, and, I'd love some more cards right about now.
Yeah, it is worth noting, for anyone who's not aware, this is an open deck list format, so Rocket Boy will be well aware that Ash Berserkers are in Reisenhai's list. Just a matter of what do you play around when. I would love Rocket Boy to just hover cards forever so I can see that card back over and over, because I'm never going to spend the time to get it myself. This is the closest I'm going to get. Doomcrag does come down, clears off the 5/3, so no cards for Reisenhai.
No, yeah, he's just playing it safe. He's trusting his deck to draw, which is a lot easier to do in I find it's a lot easier to do in the Warrior version. In Veteran, I never trust my deck to continue the cycle going.
Reisenhai draws the Edict. Debatably useful if you want to get rid of that Doomcrag now, but at this point, you kind of feel like it's going to get its value one way or the other.
Yeah.
Either you waste an Edict on it, or it gets some removal next turn. So
We'll check the Camel first and see what he does, but I think we may just be shifting right.
Ooh, Cast into Time is
Yeah.
huge here.
Not the best target in the deck for it. That would be Disciple of Namira, but a very close second. Definitely shutting off a lot of these cards like Sharpshooter Scout, which won't get a lot of value now moving forward. But Rising High now out of resources himself, and it'll be interesting to see if maybe Rocket Boy tries to turn on the Jets here. Start playing a little bit more aggressively, knowing Rising High, doesn't really have anything on board to defend himself, and as this Veteran deck doesn't really run anything that's going to deal with a wide board, and you can present a wide board right now.
It's especially relevant now that Rocket Boy has gotten that one Odiniran or Praetorian Commander buff through the deck. And the more of those you get running through the veins of your creatures, the more comfortable you are turning the gas on.
Yeah.
Gonna decide just get that one down to contest. I think that's reasonable. You're not really in much of a rush quite yet.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stalemate here. I don't think either player thinks they have the resources to go in. Like, looking at their hand, we got 2 really bad hands right now.
Yeah, those are kind of garbage.
They've kind of been trading blow. This is what Veteran versus Veteran looks like. It's like Spell Sword's slightly stronger older brother.
Speak, citizen.
Be careful who you make fun of in middle school. They might end up being Veteran.
The Hive Defender's a solid draw, but probably not even what he wanted to see here. I would think he's looking for something like a Shrine or a Disciple. Another golden initiative. Nobody can
Yeah,
get
Reisenhai is
anything.
not drawing any gas.
This Ash Berserker has been stuck in the hand for
So
going on
long.
like 8 turns now, I think. This is ridiculous.
Well, Hive Defender is going to get a little bit of value, get a nice, pretty free 2-for-1
Citizen.
over a couple turns, because Resonite's never going to attack into
Yeah,
it
this
himself.
is a competition for who can draw the first support, basically, because they're out of answers now, but nobody can get anything going.
Especially when both of these decks are so support dependent.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, a little bit less for Rocket Boy, because like he has basically 5 crazy cycle cards in the deck. The first 3 being obviously the shrines, and then he has the 2 conscriptions. Conscription, a lot of people don't respect the fact that it also reads draw 8. You're drawing 8 cards from your deck, and you're playing them all for free.
Yeah. Another Hive Defender. I'll block the Assassin the draw for Rocket Boy. I don't really... If I'm Rocket Boy, I'm still not sure I really feel the need to do much. You're under a little bit of pressure, sure, but nothing all too crazy.
You mostly just want to get some stuff on the board, not necessarily feeling pressured at all, but you just want to be able to deal with this next turn in case he has a high tempo turn now. You want stuff on the board ready for that, because high tempo turn and then you're stuck with a bunch of nothing in your hand. That's where you lose this game. So getting stuff on the board, even though the board isn't currently that threatening, is really smart by Rocket Boy.
Yeah, just planning for future turns, making sure that all your ducks are in a row.
But he just keeps drawing the 2-drops. He needs that conscription. And Ryzen High still can't activate this Berserker. This is one of the weirdest games you'll ever see.
I feel so bad for them. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna play in a tournament. It's gonna be great. Gonna have some high impact plays. No, it's just 2 drops. So Dwarven Sphere coming down, shackling up the Halalu Sharpshooter. Ash Berserker, you're
Yeah, I think
stranded, buddy. It's
he's
gonna come
given up.
down.
He's given up. We're just
He's like, you know what? I need to win. I need to win pretty soon. If I don't win in the next couple turns, Ash Berserker is not gonna be the one to save me. So it's time to get going.
Yeah, and just nothing but 1s and 2-drops. The Bruma's gonna be nice here. It's gonna give him a little bit of time. And I know when I'm in control deck, even if I'm facing down a board that's about to deal some damage to me, if I'm looking at an empty hand, I'm just really happy.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that kind of card advantage. So Rocket Boy is gonna trim down the field lane a little bit with that Sharpshooter. I'll block the Assassin to contest as well. Getting a couple of rally triggers out here and there. Ryzen High drawing a 3rd Golden Initiate. That is, what, 3 and 5 draws?
This is sort of the unfortunate spot for Ryzen High to get into, because if you get to the point where you're in a top tick where Rocket Boy has the conscriptions and the shrines to look at, is like, okay, these are my draws. These are the draws that are going to be insane and win me the game. Ryzen High's deck isn't really built like that. It's built a lot more attrition style, where each card is potentially going 2-for-1. So not drawing the stuff like... He doesn't really have a 1 card that's going to swing this matchup. He doesn't really have a conscription like Rocket Boy does here. And I think that's probably going to be the difference.
Yeah, Rocket Boy does hit a Necromancer, which has a lot of really good targets right now. Getting something like the Endoral Mastermind, nice for getting a little bit of draw. You could either get the Disciple of Namira down too, now that the Necromancer has been buffed up, try and get some recurring draw.
I think we're gonna see Necromancer bring Necromancer and then into Disciple of Namira as well.
And then you can start sacking stuff off with the full lane.
Yep. Yeah, so this is where Rocket Boy's finally gonna get his cycle.
This might just be enough.
Oh, he's going with the Endoral instead, which is fine. You maybe don't necessarily... You're only getting 1 draw immediately. And okay,
yeah, that was a quick decision.
Instantly picks the conscription. Understandably, even though it's not presenting anything on this board, I mean, even playing it on this board, it's still, drawing 2 cards, probably not good enough.
Likely not. But hey, it's something to do in the next couple turns, which both players have been desperately lacking for the last little while.
Yeah.
Cast into Time is pretty nice on Necromancers.
Yeah,
but
I think
it still doesn't really do much for you at the moment.
A little bit too late here.
And notably, Rocket Boy now has a couple extra slots for conscription to fill.
Be interesting to see if he does it. I think he may just maybe put on a little bit of pressure here. Yeah. Yeah, that was the littlest bit of pressure he could have done.
Training is
I mean, he knows, again,
time
these are
to
open deck
act.
lists, as you said. He knows Ryzen High's deck list. He knows there's not like a 1 card that Ryzen High's going to pick up that's going to get him back in this game. So just taking this slow. playing his own game plan. That sharpshooter got up to 6/6. I wasn't paying attention. I guess it was the only creature in hand for a while. The sharpshooter scout just dodging all of the buffs. The sharpshooter scout got none of them. The Halali sharpshooter got literally all of them, I think.
Okay, there's a shrine down, which is real nice for Rocket Boy, getting ever closer to that win condition. Reisenhai does get the neutral proc, which is nice. So a Steam Constructor, well, not the best neutral to draw right now, because not any way to get the ally in hand proc, but still a 2/2 body.
Yeah, your opponent's still at 14, so maybe you can just think about getting some chip here. No healing sources in the hand for Rocket Boy outside of pulling a Bruma off that conscription, but hitting the Pyromancer here.
Then you got a sharpshooter and a sharpshooter, if you really care to clean those off at the moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the scout come down. Just to protect life total versus the Halls of the Dwemer, that puts you at a little bit of a dangerous spot.
My arrows shall fly true.
Also, Rocket Boy has 19 damage available right now. That's a very easy 2-turn lethal that Rocket Boy looks to be setting up alongside the Nord Firebrands in the second rating party.
Yeah, he's just going to jam face for 6 as well.
I mean, at this point, you can totally afford that.
You've got the sharpshooter as well to get past this Nogleaf coming.
Oh, wait, actually, no. Rocket Boy has lethal here. 7, 9, 13, 14,
oh yeah, he
15,
does have
16,
the
17.
he's got the 5th Legion trainer, so he can do that if he wants to. Reisenhai does have a reasonable amount of prophecies, but he might feel safe enough if he hits those prophecies. You know, I'm not going to die anyway. Yeah, he's well over.
A Green Pact Ambusher is nice, a little bit too late. Rocket Boy will take game number 1 in the Redoran Mirror. Reisenhai put up a good fight, but the resource generation that Rocket Boy was able to find just a little bit too much.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest games I think we've ever seen.
Speak for yourself. I've played in rank 5 recently.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Hey, I've played in rank 5 too. This was weird in a very different way. This was weird in a nobody can get their thing going sort of way. But we're actually gonna jump in and take a look at the decks, because I was a giant idiot and forgot to show everybody the decks. So we're gonna take a quick look at that.
Also, I saw in chat someone saying that casters were too afraid to show their faces. No, I am too afraid to show the fact that I'm not wearing actual pants. I'm still in pajamas. That's what I'm too afraid to show.
Yeah,
okay, chat.
Yeah,
let's get things clear.
I just haven't put on my makeup yet today, so
yeah.
Yeah.
my face isn't quite put together.
But let's take a quick look, because they're probably going to jump right back in. Reisenhai running sort of the controlling Dwemer sorts of list. You saw what his game plan was there. He's playing very grindy. His winning game plan is mostly support based, with Halls of the Dwemer and Divine Fervor, using just a ton of resource extension, with Necromancer pulling back stuff like Stronghold Incubator, Yagran Bagarin, Indoral Mastermind, basically just pumping everything up so everything's going to be really dangerous, and potentially getting 2-for-1 trades. You can go late into the game if your opponent doesn't have support removal. He was doing the same thing in Redoran, which we just saw. We saw the Doomcrag Redoran for Rocket Boy there. There's the full list for the people who are wondering, and his backup deck is the, as we were talking about, the Heavy Prophecy Control Tribunal.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah, I just wanted to run through that quick, because I didn't know how quickly they were gonna get back in game.
Yeah, no, we're still waiting a little bit. That is gonna put Reisenhai on Spellsword neutral for the next game. How do you feel like the Redoran Doomcrag and the Spellsword neutral package are gonna match up together?
Oh, I think Reisenhai got really, really unlucky. Because he brought support decks, and he came up against a Redoran. Redoran is the class that hates supports probably the most, because it has Douchnik, Edict, and Shadow. I don't think he's running all 3 of those, but he has access to all 3 of those. So he's running 5 support removals in his deck, and he's running, I believe, only 3 in the Tribunal. So it's rough, because he's got answers to every single support that Reisenhai can pull out.
Yeah. And we are getting started in game 2 here. Rocket Boy is on the ring, but no play there. Reisenhai is going to get a Steam Constructor to proc, so that's 3/3 across 2 bodies. Rocket Boy has a few plays here. On-Die Clan Sorcerer, probably not going to be put down quite yet, because, I mean, you want things to do with that first, such as kill off a couple Nord Firebrands. That's a pretty good way to get going.
Yeah.
Reisenhai, sort of slow hand at the moment. A second Steam Constructor could put on some nice pressure, but Indoral Mastermind going to be the play, trying to get through that deck.
Now that I can see it, that is a very slow hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is... He really wanted to play, I think, this grinding style, because it gives him a lot of game against the Tribunal lists and Talbani lists, but this Redoran sort of deck is definitely not what he wanted to see because, you know, it doesn't really care so much. Yeah, it doesn't really care so much about the 2-for-1s. You want to grind to get 2-for-1s as this Dwemer list, but it's going to do Disciple and Namira and negate everything you just did, so...
Yeah, Edict of Azura looking real nice here to get rid of that Hive Defender, unless you're concerned about keeping that for any sort of supports, which would be totally fair.
Yeah. You're down to 24 already, so if you're not taking care of this Hive Defender, you're looking at another 6 coming through. 18 is, you know, not the worst life total to be at, but it's something you have to keep considering. If you force yourself to over-answer threats in the mid-game, that could be pretty dangerous. So maybe just take the time now, take the tempo back on the board, and go from there.
It is worth noting, Rocket Boy drew the newly revamped, nice fresh face reset button that is the Red Year, so if this goes long enough, Red Year could be a really nice way to stabilize when you're getting late into the game. Hopefully Rocket Boy is looking at some nice resource generation and card draw engines at that point already, but in case that's not happening, that is an out. And Rise and High, I mean, there's the classic spell sword problem of reach and draw tend to be pretty difficult. Now, Rise and High's deck looks to be doing a pretty good job of getting around those sorts of problems with things like the camels and the Endoral Masterminds, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of ways to close games out, from hand at least, outside of these high-tempo supports.
We draw power from their blood.
And
Basically
Rocket
everything
Boy,
you just said. Oh. I like it when I don't have to talk. I like it when
hey, I want to sort of like flex my analyst muscles every now and again. Rocket Boy does get a Raise Dead, which is super, super nice. Those blood magic spells are very infrequently going to be anything less than amazing, especially in the mid game like this, where they're very, very high impact for 2 Magicka.
Yeah, Drain Life was a little bit of a whiff there, but
yes.
The other ones, Gargoyle would have been pretty fantastic, and Corpse Curse just giving yourself a little bit more time, making it to the late game. When your hand is Galen Necromancer Red Year, you have one goal, and it's like let's make this game last as long as possible. That's currently what he's going for.
Yeah, Rocket Boy is on the can I make Rise and High lose via old age plan.
Yeah. But, you know, these wide boards definitely a little bit of a struggle for Redoran to deal with. We don't have the support follow-up, but...
The only real ways Redoran has to deal with wide boards is trying to throw a bunch of tokens at the problem and hoping that they can kill you fast enough.
And Skaven Pyromancer, obviously.
And Skaven Pyromancer is
Skaven Pyromancer is a really, really strong card on these sorts of lists, but nothing yet, and Rocket Boy, I guarantee he's completely terrified that there's a Halls of the Dwemer coming down and about to just start blasting him in the face, but not in the hand for Rising High.
Does Rise and High believe in the heart of the cards, though? Yeah. That's the question.
He doesn't have too much, but I mean, even just those 2 Dwemers, that's the scary thing about Halls of the Dwemer. Even just that Steam Constructor is ripping 9 damage through a Halls of the Dwemer, which is just terrifying.
Yeah. Gromite Magus, kind of a whiff of a draw in this matchup. Getting rid of an Edict it's nice, sure, but it's not really going to do all too much over the course of the game. Playing a 7 Magicka 5/5 in this kind of a game right now, it has guard. That's nice. Yeah, that's great.
The guard is the big thing. Just making it so you can play this and make it so it's impossible for Rise and High to do both Halls of the Dwemer and Hard Remove in the same turn, just at this stage of the game. So the guard is the big thing. It's a 7 mana 5/5 guard. You wouldn't put it in your deck, but if it's in your hand, you might as well play it.
Well, I mean, it depends. Are you running Moose? Because if you're running Moose, you're like, if this Gromite Magus right now is a really ugly Moose.
Yeah. It's a really ugly Moose that only works against Strange Warrior, pretty much. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the card, but
this is on the swole meter. This Reconstructed Spider getting up there.
Yeah, not quite camel level, but you know, getting there.
Yeah, Rocket Boy does draw the Journey, and the Magus is going to come down just as a 5/5 guard, which is fine. Rise and High does have the second Edict in hand, and there's the Halls.
There's the Halls, yeah, and this is why the Gromite Magus is potentially big here. He's still gonna just knock this down, but just saving 5 life here. Heal for 5 is fine. 7 mana 5/5, heal for 5, kill a creature. You know, it's better than Manticore.
I mean, these days, sure.
Yeah.
Rocket Boy, can Rocket Boy make it to 10 Magicka?
It's not looking good for him, no.
Not looking good at all, no.
The Skaven Pyromancer.
Yeah.
He's 1 mana off from the Doomcrag Sudoku here. He has the Edict of Azura, though. That's going to be quite nice for him, but no way to remove this 4 damage. He's going to have to rely on the guard. And this is going to be it for Rocket Boy. The Edict's going to come down paired with the Crushing Blow, and that's going to push lethal.
Yeah, that will tie it up 1-1. Nice play. This is a pretty good example of how that Spell Sword deck wants to play. It wants to get some board control early, and then have a couple of those really high impact supports come down, and then Alpha Strike for lethal.
Yeah, it's a good example of how the pace of that sort of deck works, in that he was playing like the aggro deck in that matchup, kind of knowing he needed to. He couldn't outgrind the Red Red, but he can switch the pace and play like a control deck if he needs to. He can, in the aggro mirrors, that's his game plan, is to just be the control deck. Play your edicts, use your stuff to trade, and that's gonna do some work as well.
Yeah, so that will put Rocket Boy on Tribunal control for this game 3. The Tribunal control is running a relatively high prophecy count, which is going to be relatively nice because you have to imagine this neutral package spell sword is going to end up being the beatdown in this game. The Tribunal probably not going to be able to, as you were talking about, cheese out a win here by trying to loop those Supreme Matromasters, so we'll see how well that can be taken care of.
This is going to be really interesting to see who the beatdown in this is. Less support removal in this deck. So again, he's tilted very heavily towards aggro, but more traditional styles of aggro with this list. He's only running the 3 edicts as support removal, I believe. So I think if Ryzen High wants to, he can just play this game slowly and kind of grind out the Tribunal, which sounds insane, grinding out a Tribunal, but it's definitely possible. But we'll see. It kind of has to change based on the hand he gets dealt, in a very literal sense. But
well, looks like game 3 is about to start. So this will be the last game in the series. For everyone keeping track at home, this is match number 38. After this, we're going to be taking a look at match 54. So if you want to check out the bracket, you can do !bracket in chat, find out who's going to be in those games, and start getting yourself hyped so we can get you even more hyped when we finally get there.
I'm bad at the hype thing. That's going to be your job. That's why you're here.
That's kind of what I'm here for, right?
Yeah, I'm too low energy.
Pointy wall of spikes, no way!
Oh my god! Ah! It's got spikes on it! Alright.
Yeah, leave it to me, Ian. I got
it. Okay, yeah. You're a little bit better.
So Ryzen High does not have a pretty... Ryzen High, if they manage to grab one of those explosive neutral starts, one of those ones where you just can get a whole bunch of vomiting neutral onto the board and then overrun them immediately, that'd be a really nice win condition for Ryzen High. That's not one that this hand is going to support particularly well quite yet. Dwarven Dynamo, though, on curve is always a good thing.
Yep, just going to start firing this face. He played a 3-mana 2/3 to set this up, so there's only one place this is going.
Edict of Azura also looking pretty nice, but you have to remember Ryzen High is really looking for those high impact supports coming down, so Rocket Boy deciding to keep that pointy wall of spikes can help trade with the Daggerfall Mage over the course of 2 turns. Ryzen High does get Halls of the Dwemer on curve next turn.
He's just left in a really interesting position here, because he's going to jab to keep this alive, but he knows Rocket Boy has a kill on it just via the Toman. So, just put in a very weird position here, because now Rocket Boy can pretty easily answer this, and we're going to be left with just the 2/1. Can't Halls next turn. We're going to be doing just the Golden Initiate and the Gearwork Spider, so you're giving your opponent a turn to kind of set up, get ready, and that setup's going to come in the form of a Hive Defender, which is quite nice. He has Ice Storm, if he wants to go with that as well. If Ryzen High is just going to develop double Gearwork here to set up for the Halls, I would not be surprised to just see this Ice Storm come down.
Yeah, that would be, what, a 4-for-1 if Ryzen High decides to put everything onto the board?
But I don't think
that's a very real consideration.
He's gonna keep. I think he's gonna keep one of the Gearworks just because he increases the number of Gearworks he can play by 1 by doing that.
Right. So is this Ice Storm? Does Rocket Boy have the reads? And honestly, if you have a fistful of cards and your opponent's at 3, getting a 3-for-1 is kind of nice no matter what.
Well, I think just moving into next turn knowing you have Hive Defender Golden Initiate is a very strong play. Because this is a 6-mana Hive Defender, so might as well just wait till next turn, but you can pair it with something as well. Yeah.
Yep, Ice Storm is going to be the play. Nice read, nice animation. Resenhai's board obliterated.
Just needs to make this game last longer. He has the luxury. That's the thing. In a lot of situations, you don't have the luxury of playing around Halls of the Dwemer. He's in a good enough spot that he's just able to do it. There's no real downside for him playing around the
Training
card
is
right
over.
now.
It's time to act.
Resenhai is going to be able to get 2 for the price of 1 on Spiders, which is kind of nice. Mad Oblivium in Mecha mode coming down.
Yep.
Halls of the Drummer next turn looks nice if these manage to survive, which we can see a pretty solid case of that happening.
Yeah, is it really solid though? This Hive Defender is looking ridiculous. These are both going to go up to 5 attack, and he can't pair the Cast into Time with it on the same turn. This Hive Defender is going to eat both of them. I mean, it's a 1 for a 4 mana, but when you're this low on cards, you need Halls of the Dwemer to be doing more than that on play, because it's just going to get edicted.
Halls and Divine Fervor. See, this is one of those pitfalls of support-based decks where if you don't have a board that can make good use of the supports that you're packing in, then you're not going to be able to really get the value that you're looking for out of them. And this is one of those moments where, yeah, Halls is great, Divine Fervor is great, but really, what are you buying yourself with them being put down?
Yeah, and I think this is going to be Fervor. Fervor and Halls were both offering the same trades in this position, but Divine Fervor is going to let this 5th Legion live. Alternatively, he can go with the Cast into Time here if he really wants to and try and push just a huge amount of damage next turn, and that's what he's going to go with. Doesn't really like either of the support lines, and I don't blame him.
I'll see you dead.
And we can see Rocket Boy doesn't have the best of ways to clear off this board. Does have the 3 Drain, which is nice, gets to clear off the 5th Legion Trainer, and a little bit of healing on top of that, but these 2 Gearworks Spiders do get to stay alive.
Yeah, only pushing 5 though. The Stronghold Incubator is a pretty fantastic draw, but the Cast into Time for Rocket Boy is going to be absolutely huge. If he's able to kind of get through these games without, or get through these next few turns without using the Cast into Time, which looks somewhat likely, then that Incubator is going to be shut off, which is a huge deal, because that is a crazy amount of resource extension using stuff like Necromancer.
Yeah, it's going to be putting Resenhai into top deck mode. Halls of the Dwemer taken care of, nice and quick, and that Divine Fervor adding a little bit of additional draw. Galen on Stronghold Incubator.
No!
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
It
looks so good.
He's just gonna hold him. He hasn't seen a Cast into Time yet. He does not want this game to be over right away.
Sorcerer's Negation on top of it.
Yeah, he's gonna go with the Negation instead. Only one other Stronghold Incubator in the list. So being able to get around that and save the Cast into Time for something like a Necromancer is a really big deal. And Resenhai's gotta be, that's a pretty big top deck. Although the game is probably over regardless, Resenhai really wants to play this Galen, and seeing that Cast into Time would have felt a lot more free to do so. Sorcerer's Negation, not so much. You're still just terrified to play this thing.
It's not a great draw for Resenhai.
No.
Edict, not that high value right now. It is going to come through because, I mean, you got some time off, you might as well. Divine Fervor coming down, basically taking a turn off, so Rocket Boy gets to do whatever Rocket Boy so chooses.
Yeah, and that's going to be draw, basically.
I mean, that's usually a pretty good way to start, right? Yeah.
But it should be relatively slow, actually, for Rocket Boy to start setting up his own lethal. I say that, but then this Atromancer's going to come down, most likely next turn.
Atromancers be Atromancing.
Yep.
And then if Rocket Boy can find either a 5th Legion Trainer or a Divine Fervor, there's no 5th Legion Trainers in this. It's just the Divine Fervor as a way to buff up the Necromancers for looping Atromancers. However, it's not like it's really going to be necessary. Just putting down the 1 and then beating some face with it is probably going to be more than sufficient. Elephants coming down in either lane, 4 damage to face from the Atromancer.
So now's when we start counting, right? If we should be like good casters here and start counting. I see 8, 13, 15, 18. Can he play 4 creatures? Yes, he can.
That's pretty good.
Like, no, it's awkward. No, he can't play 4 creatures because he can't like use both. Yeah, no, he can. Okay, so we go Necromancer and then Cloud Rest Heartbeat. Okay, yeah, but this card's gonna stop. It's all that math is useless.
You shred real hard, though. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I did my best.
These things happen. So Cloud Rest is probably not going to be all too interesting. That does mean, even with the Cloud Rest, both of these 7/4s trade in on the right lane. Rocket Boy looks to be looking for Atremancer damage.
Yeah, gonna make this first trade. Put him to 21 here, I think, with the 2. I think we're gonna see a Jav come down on this 7-4. Set up very clean next turn. Well over
Rocket
lethal.
Boy it could be looking for lethal now. There's 8-10 in field lane, so you need to do 13 knots. 6 creatures from here is probably a little bit out of the question.
Yeah.
You don't really need to push any more damage. You can just hit for 2. There's no way Rise and High can break their own runes, save for a crushing blow, which that's never going to go face.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, interesting. Both of these players are using the Tactician title.
Oh, nice. I don't know what that
Look
is.
at that.
What is the Tactician? Does anybody know what the quality the qualifier for that is?
Someone in chat, please look up and tell us what the Tactician is. We're kind of busy at the moment, but we are curious. Rocket Boy roping down, deciding exactly what the right course of action here is. Getting down to 21 makes a lot of sense. I'm looking at that Javelin, maybe the Shrieking Harpy, but that's looking like something for next
Yeah,
turn to me.
it was. Well, that was, I think, the decision is whether he wanted to Harpy. And if he wanted to Harpy, I don't think he makes that attack. He's not going to go with the jab. He's just going to let the pointy wall fight it, which is interesting.
Ooh, Rise and High gets the Javelin, can take care of the Atremancer and try and avoid lethal for 1 turn.
Makes sense, because if a hard removal comes down to remove the pointy wall, it's also something that could just come down on the Atremancer anyway. So I didn't really consider it, but leaving the 7-4 up is probably correct in that situation.
Right. Rocket Boy on the play. No support removal, but not all too concerned about that. There are plenty of ways to get around these creatures.
Yep, he's got the pointy wall. Spikes now can take a value trade on this Galen. Just gonna shove it on the Endural Mastermind.
Rocket Boy does draw a second Supreme Atremancer, so back on Atro plan next turn, possibly.
Yep.
No ramp for Rocket Boy so far, so that means that Supreme Atremancer could only be paired with a Shrieking Harpy, but that's still 6 face damage, which is real nice. Necromancer probably draw? Maybe grabbing a Daggerfall Mage?
Yeah, Daggerfall should be interesting here, but just gonna go for the more immediate draw.
Camel, more value over time.
More draw.
Because, you know, if Rocket Boy is real low on cards right now, that's
Yeah,
definitely
he needs it. He needs the camel.
Edict for Rise and High. Can push 7 damage to very little avail. If only there was a Yagram in Rise and High's discard pile or something.
3 Swift Strikes.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, he only has 2 cards and he's a spell sword, but 3 Swift Strikes would be nice here.
Yellow, purple, greenhouse, where? Sparky, please.
Please don't.
I'm going to spend the rest of the day triggering you with other 3 color combinations.
Well, okay, moving on. Yeah, not a great position for Rise and High. The only card he has that he really gets on the board is the Odurneron Necromancer, and there's a cast at the time that's been waiting for about 10 turns for exactly Necromancer, and he's not going to be happy to see that. Not that it matters, because the board stay for Rocket Boy is just something that I don't think you can really come back from if you're Rise and High, especially considering how much follow-up he just has ready and waiting to go.
I'm looking at Rise and High's discard pile. All I see in there that's noteworthy is a Stronghold Incubator and the Gearworks Spiders. Those offer some nice ways to extend resources, but they're not really going to affect all too much. Rise and High will go face, going for that last-ditch effort of trying to hope that they don't have a way to kill me next turn. What's going to be the Necromancer pull? I would imagine... Yeah, the Stronghold Incubator makes a lot of sense, because that is a big boy.
He's a very big boy. But with
Lightning
no cards
Bolt's
in
a
hand,
nice draw.
with no cards in hand, you have the luxury of just using the casting time on the Incubator here, because you're not really afraid of them top decking another Necromancer, I think, at this point. Other option is to just try to go in for lethal. Do we have enough? We have 8, 11, 13... Atremancer plus Harpy would be an interesting line. It's not lethal, but it sets up very well. You just make this 10-4 unable to attack, and you're kind of in a good spot.
That does mean you're giving Rise and High a whole bunch of cards off of runes, but there's a relatively low prophecy density for Rise and High, and also very little damage from hand, save for crushing blows.
Well,
so you might feel...
You could just play the Atromancer. You don't have to go any further than that. But he's going to play it. So.
That's true. That's true. That's true. It is going to be the cast into time, which is nice and safe. Shrieking Harpy can come down, stave off any aggression.
I want to see this Cloudrest come down. Never mind, he's cameling instead. Okay. I want to see this Cloudrest come down to try to set up lethal for next turn, but...
Well, I'm mostly angry that this means that Supreme Atromancer can't get full value.
Yep.
Loneth is the pull from the Merchant's Camel.
So if this
Makes
game
sense.
goes long enough, he can find a Fervor, and then Necromancer the Atromancer, and that's it's definitely going to go long enough for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
No doubt at all.
But Necromancer, the actual best draw possible, I think, here for Rising High, except maybe the second Incubator. Just putting threats on the board, maybe force a Dawn's
Yeah.
Wrath.
You can grab maybe a... I don't see any of the 2-for-1 creatures in the discard pile for Rising High.
No, he's looking at just the
No
top here.
allies,
Yeah.
no incubators.
Basically, I think just a Dwarven Sphere or a Dwarven Dynamo. Or not
Dynamo doesn't have a
Dynamo
target.
doesn't have a target. Dwarven Sphere, a Golden Initiate then. So likely a Dwarven Sphere. Because I would take a 9/3 over a 9/4 rather over a 4/4.
9/4 shackle someone. I'd play that.
Yeah, it's an okay card.
At three Magicka, totally.
Rise, my servant.
So Necromancer will come down as a 4/4. See what Rising High decides is in fact the best thing to draw. It will be that sphere as we predicted because we know what we're talking about. What are you talking about, chat? Who says we don't?
We did it. Second bolt picked up is very nice here.
It's 3, 6, 8, 10, 11 available for Rocket Boy.
So not quite, but he can just Dawn's Wrath here. Looking at 9 in the field lane. Add a Cloud Rest to that. 9 plus 4 is 13. 13 plus 8 from the 2 bolts is exact lethal coming in the next turn, which he can set up right now without even playing the Atromancer.
Quick maths. I wonder if Execute's ever going to be anything but a dead draw right now.
With that Fervor up, I think he's got like the 5th Legion Trainer, and that's it. He's going to take it even slower than that.
Yep, full clear it is. Rising High, top deck's a Golden Initiate. It's a 4/4 drain. It's not bad, but
Speak, citizen.
gonna play it out. There's always a chance that Rocket Boy disconnects.
Yeah, there's always a chance that Rocket Boy just kind of misorders. It's not so much a disconnect. If you misorder and this Gearwork Spider comes out, that's lethal on the backswing with the two hulls of the Dwemer out.
That is true. That is true. Reverberating Strike for Rocket Boy is pretty nice. Archcannon Serioni off of the Loneth makes a lot of sense. Get a nice big drain, get a nice big guard, get another card draw just for good measure.
Another Necromancer.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively. It is just a strong card right now after being
drawing
fucked up.
Necromancers.
I mean, how many cards are left in Ryzen's deck? 30? Yeah. There's what, 5 more Necromancers? That's 1 in 6 cards? No, we've seen more than that, but either way. Necromancer, always a good draw.
It's crazy that he's gone Necromancer into Necromancer into Necromancer, and Rocket Boy is still kind of just ridiculously ahead. It kind of shows how dominant a position Rocket Boy was in, because Rising High drew like best card into best card, and he's just keeps rolling through him.
Rise, my servant.
Rise, my
That's
servant.
15 worth of stats on this turn so far. If Rocket Boy was missing a Divine Fervor, this could be a really strong play for Ryzen High, but Caster Vision, we do see that in the hand for Rocket Boy.
The Dawn's Wrath.
Yes, sorry. Five, 8, 9, so plenty of damage to get rid of the Sphere. Yep, gonna leave the Atronach in play. Poking just a little bit, and Dawn's Wrath will come down.
They've no move.
And Rocket Boy draws, because that's what Tribunal does best.
Yep. Well, Housecarl's
Well, Housecarl is nice.
just waiting for one whiff from Rising High. Hive Defender's not quite a whiff, but it's a little bit better than he could have.
It's not the worst.
Yeah, it's you're fine with seeing a Hive Defender here. So that's
Piercing Javelin for Rocket Boy, yeah.
So I think we're going to see the Cloud Rest come down with the Execute.
I'll try to draw
And
their
then the
fire.
question is whether we're going to go with the Necromancer or the Sarioni. I would expect to see the Necromancer here. Nope,
The
he's going to go with the
tribunal
Sarioni.
will always come to the people's aid. Behold,
Throwing
the
that down on probably
tribunal's
the Atrial?
Yeah, I would imagine. Put him to an exec 16. Heal up just a little bit. Leave yourself just enough mana to execute this Hive.
And then you can put Rocket Boy down to 13 if you, or Ryzen High to 13, but Rocket Boy no need. Casting a time for Ryzen High alongside a Dwarven Sphere can slow down Rocket Boy just a tad. However, some low tempo plays.
Yeah, not.
And we do see the Piercing Javelin in hand for that Sphere.
Yeah, it's very much. Rocket Boy's just. It's over. It's just a matter of when he's going to get to that point.
Yeah, it's pretty much arithmetic at this point. There's 7 damage. Can Rocket Boy deal 9 here? Nope.
I'm capping out at 5.
Yeah. So imagine the Javelin's going to come down on that Sphere.
Yeah, is there any upside to using Lightning Bolt? I think there is. Even though you go in with the even though you could save it for burst next turn, if you go with the Lightning Bolt instead of the Jav, that's gonna allow you to play the House Carl. So basically just put those 4 stats back on the board.
Yep. Itchermancer,
Whoa.
also a reasonable play.
I summon thee.
It's a Gearwork Spider here. Does he lose?
That's, I think so.
That's a dangerous play. You only had 1 attack, so the Gearwork Spider would have summoned 3. Yeah, that would have been
Yeah,
lethal.
that was bold.
That would have been lethal on the backswing for Ryzen High. Does he... Am I missing something? Did they get cast?
Are they only running 2?
Oh, no, yeah. No, there's no way you only run 2 Gearwork Spiders.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous. Well, Rocket Boy, gonna swing for 9 here. Not much need to clear. Taking the Atremancer down makes sense. Could go for the clear if you really want to, but I think that's still... Yeah, it's still lethal for Rocket Boy with more to spare.
Yeah, Rocket Boy's got plenty here. Gonna swing it in. He has the breakthrough to get past the Gearwork Spider. So, yeah. Rocket Boy a little bit risky at the end there, but able to clean up the game.
Yeah, still going to take that 2-1 over Ryzen High. Interesting games. There was a lot of back and forth on tempo there, a lot of interesting decisions as to who was the beatdown. I dug it. I think that was a good series.
Those drummer decks are really weird. They play very weird. It's tough to figure them out. And yeah, so yeah, congratulations to Rocket Boy moving on with his super control lineup. I think considering how long that took, we probably should have our next game.
Yeah, I'm checking it out. It's going to be Wendorm versus Endozoa.
Windorm going up against Endozoa. All right, we'll be back with that in just a moment, guys.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
All right, welcome back, guys. So we're gonna take a second, but looks like the players are already in. So no deck lists. If you're interested in the decks, go ahead and hit !decks within the chat. But let's actually just jump in.
Yeah, let's do it. It's going to be Endozoa versus Wendorm. Wendorm is opening up with a Factotum Archer. Endozoa running a red heavy mid battle mage. For anyone who doesn't know, mid battle mage tends to have two different sort of builds. There's the quote unquote blue build, one that uses the 1/1 warder that gets a bunch of 5/5 Atronox, whose name I can't remember right now. And then other version tends to run a little bit more aggressively, a little more traditional mid-rangey with big beefy threats.
I wouldn't necessarily say there are two builds so much as there's one build and then Endozoa.
Okay, you know what? You have a point there.
Yeah, he likes his red cards. He likes his Stormcloak Vanguard and Greenback Ambusher, the ones you don't normally see in mid BM. Not that either are necessarily bad, but the big thing is that he cuts Breton Conjurers from the list, which is something I'm not super about. I feel like if you're going with that route, why do you still have Vigilant Ancestor in your deck? But that's my opinion. Endo's a fine player, and he's tested this deck a lot. But he's going up against the Factotum Archer. Factotum Archer, pretty solid against the kind of threat-dense decks that you might see. But Endo's getting some early chip damage, so...
Yeah, lethal decks tend to be pretty good at going blow for blow when it comes to creature-based strategies, so... Wendorm, with the Fighters Guild Recruit in hand alongside two Archer's Gambits, may have a pretty good way to deal with this, but we already see that Endozoa has some nice follow-up with the Stormcloak Battalion as a nice beefy threat, and Lightning Bolt to try and breeze through anything else that may come through. Reflective Automaton is already lethaled up thanks to the fact that it is in fact a Factotum alongside the rest of them. Deciding not to use the Archer's Gambit here.
Yeah, just gonna go with that anyway. It takes pretty much all of the damage off the board anyway, so I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that's definitely solid, and he knows there's a 4-mana 5/5 in hand, so one of these Gambits is kind of reserved for that. The other one's gonna kind of wait back here.
Moonlight Werebat on the draw. Could ring that out alongside an Archer's Gambit to try and get a little bit of life gain.
This is really interesting. Just using the lethal here is something. Okay, that's why he's holding onto the Gambit because he knows he wants to basically farm this. Otherwise, if you use the Gambit there, you could have taken out the 0/1. But not forced to do that is quite nice.
Endo playing quickly, clearing off the board.
Yeah, he's presented with very few options on these sorts of things.
So next turn, Endo does have a 4 and a 3 to drop next to each other.
Yeah, so
Wendorm probably looking to stick another Werebat? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's basically the only play. It's a 6-mana Werebat, but you just saw Lightning Bolt come out. You assume there's no real high-tempo play here for your opponent.
Do you Mudcrab or do you Ancestor? Mudcrab, apparently.
Well, we're gonna go. I think we're playing the Battalion, but we're gonna go Mudcrab into Crown into Battalion, and this is looking to shape up quite nicely for Endo, depending on the next couple of draws for Wendorn. He does have all of the Factotums to change this, but we're gonna see this Battalion come down, and I think
Sentinel Battle Mace is so nice.
Sentinel Battle Mace is pretty great here, although the Rabbit Shot is gonna clear it up.
I keep a spare
But yeah, Sentinel Battle Mace is just a card in his deck, so
Yeah.
hitting that one off the Mudcrab feels good.
If I'm already running it, I'm down to take another. Not this turn, there's no real need for it at the moment, but going ahead and just get some nice threats down on the board, and Kano looking nice next turn, depending on what Wendorn decides to play down.
Yeah, the thing I was talking about is we're going to see the lethal come down to answer the 5/5, but this on Kano is going to just fire over it, so if Wendorn's not able to find another lethal, he doesn't have really an answer for this on Kano. He does have the Rage available, which is quite nice. Unglim's going to come down to get the 2-1.
Skivaton's got this one.
Skivaton's got it, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not running the Skiva version. Skivaton is a little bit scary to give an Archer sometimes. He does actually get a buff from that.
There are
the reflective
that's a good
automaton,
point.
yeah.
There are a couple ways to build late game for Archer. Wendorm is running the Journey version. Some people run Skeevers as a late game win condition. Endo is going to just plop down the Ankano, deny that drain, and Wendorm now looking like
Two draws
not
to try
a
and
lot
find a
to
lethal.
answer. That's not a lethal.
Neither of those are lethals. No, he's got another one with a Rapid Shot. I think he's got to find it. You can't take 5 from this Ankano.
That would hurt so much, especially when Belligerent Giant is there to get anything out of the way.
He does actually.
Sentinel.
No, he does have a kill on it with the Gambit because you can just bring the Skeevaton over. Yeah.
It can Gambit and double trade. I think you still probably start with the Rapid Shot.
Yeah.
And Shrine and Archer's Gambit allow for a clear and some nice cycling.
Yeah. Gonna start with the Rapid Shot. Go from there. See what pick up. Sanctuary Pet's a really nice pickup. I think the fact that you don't have to use it is quite big here. Getting this shrine down would be quite nice. Yeah,
he's going to use a Sanctuary Pet.
He is going to go with the Sanctuary Pet. All right.
Grabs a Fighter's Guild recruit for his trouble. Endo getting another Battle Mace, which not really going to accomplish much here, but you can Belligerent Giant to get rid of that shrine.
We could also just see the Battle Mace come down, try to protect the Ancano, but not quite yet. Gonna knock down the shrine first.
Second
creatures,
Fighter's Guild recruit.
Both creatures having breakthrough is a little bit frustrating here for Wendorm, because he can't really just fully block off the damage here.
Yeah, so forced to use the Archer's Gambit in order to keep the board clear. Because as soon as you give mid-battle mage an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Yeah, he does have access now to Fighter's Guild Rage, but doesn't look like Endo's about to spam the board anytime soon. Crown Quartermaster is a pickup, but ready with the guard. Can Wendorm extend his resources enough? Can he find his power plays, the shrines, the big factotums? That's a big-ish factotum, but maybe not necessarily what he needed.
Is it big enough? Debatable, but it's a good starting place. Regenerate, not going to mean all too much right now, and there's plenty of ways to get up into that attack range. Morkel Gaper is one of those ways. Battle Mace makes a ton of sense here because you do get to protect your threat, and then do you feel the need to play anything else?
Well, this is awkward. If he wants to play something else, I think he's gonna have to Battle Mace this because I don't think he can afford to play into this rage.
I agree.
Yeah, and so he's just gonna hold everything back. He's gonna say deal with this 6/1 without using rage. So the top deck of the Aurora, not the Auroran Sentry. What is this?
Assembled Sentry.
Assembled Sentry. Yeah. So the top deck of that one's gonna be a pretty big deal. Gonna buff this health up as well, which is gonna be nice because we already have guard and lethal on all the factotums. You already have all the good ones. Those are the ones you need.
Playing down the Fighter's Guild recruit alongside, saving that rage for the absolute necessary moment.
Yeah,
Wilds Incarnate is real nice here. That is 2 redraws for Endo. Sharpshooter is nice. Belligerent Giant is nice.
Belligerent Giant is pretty fantastic here.
Those are 2 really good draws.
Yeah, it'll have to be a case of placement around rage here for Endo, but I think he's got this game very nice. This game is looking very nice for him if he can figure out correct ways to play around rage. And Wendor might just be forced to do it right here with the Night to Remember. The Assembled Titan as the pickup is very nice for him, but I just don't know if he can afford to do it with this much damage presented on the board. Even just 7 being dead to double 4s from the Battle Mage is terrifying.
Whenever you see Assembled Titan and a Night to Remember in the same hand, it's so tempting to just jam that down.
That's what he's going to do, but I don't think it's the right play.
I don't either. I think that's really leaving yourself way too vulnerable.
Drinks, a few laughs, and a contest. What could be better?
Especially because the Assembled Titan loses all of the previous buffs when you Night to Remember it. That's something to remember.
So this rage is dead in the hand unless he draws something. And I mean, if I'm Endo, I'm just not even giving him a card. I'm just
5, 7, 9.
Develop this Belligerent Giant and probably this Wardcrafter in the shadow. Put him to 17 and say go.
Yeah, because now Wendorm is reliant on actually finding more factotums. If Wendorm draws anything other than lethal creatures or factotums, then it probably just die next turn.
Oh, that rune was already broken. Yeah, okay, so you can just put
Yes.
Yeah. He's gonna go to 6 instead of 13. Fair enough.
Watch yourself now.
Gambit's not going to do it. That's 2 wards to break through alongside another guard.
Yeah, I don't think he had the time to do this Assembled Titan play. And,
that was a really greedy choice.
Yeah, he's gonna get punished for it here, but picking up the Dongfang, is that gonna be enough? I don't believe so, just because this is shackled.
If it was shackled, it might be something.
Because we could have gone with the If this wasn't shackled, we could have gone with the Dawnfang Rage. Or if this was...
You can Dawnfang and Archer's Gambit kill 2 things in field, get a bunch of heals off of that.
Yeah, but I mean, Rage does the
I
same
don't think
thing.
it's not enough.
Yeah, it only kills 2, but it doesn't kill the 2 highest attack ones. So
Yeah.
the Archer's Gambit line actually opens up some more damage because this 2 comes in.
Yeah, if you Gambit and Rage, you kill all but one thing.
Gambit and Rage. Gambit and Rage is full clear in the left lane. You leave yourself with just the Wardcrafter.
Right, because you can still attack with the.
Yeah. But then you're dead to 4 for Battle Mage, which is spooky.
Yeah.
No, he's not going with that line.
No.
He's gonna go with the Gambit. He's gonna clear off the 5/4 and then the 2/2, and hopefully eat an attack. But the Belligerent Giant's gonna keep it, so he doesn't go with the Rage line.
And that will be the undoing, more likely than not.
Nope. Oh yeah, he's just. Oh wow, yeah, he healed. I forgot that healed 4. I thought it healed 3 for some reason. Yeah, so Endo.
Yep, not dead quite yet.
No, he's got it.
Oh, right, the Steel Dagger
there,
can
yeah.
bump up to enough damage. Yeah, Endozoa will take
There's a
game
hand
1.
over it, but that rune is broken, so no Prophecy out. Endo is going to take it. Wendorm with some really interesting decisions there that I'm not quite sure about. Went for the long-term line over short-term survivability, and somewhat interesting that those were the lines he took, especially considering he had the heal from the Assembled Titan, not going for the Rage on that turn. I understand you're dead to 4 from a Battle Mage, and that's scary, but if they don't have it, you know one of their cards is a dagger. They only have 1 card. If that card doesn't kill you, then a good amount of your top decks just stabilize.
Yeah. Well, Endozoa with some solid play there, gonna take it. That'll leave Wendorm on a mid-range Sorcerer build. How do you feel about mid-Sorcerer and mid-BM battling each other? Do you feel like anyone has an edge in this case?
I feel in general, mid-range Battle Mage has the advantage, although it's not a huge advantage. Although one of the big reasons I would believe that is because of Brett and Conjure. So not 100% on this one. I think mid BM still probably has the advantage here, just because it's defensive enough that the Sorcerer can't really race and can't really grind. But it really depends on the draw. If the Sorcerer can get underneath, it can be really tough for the Battle Mage to come back.
It's also worth noting the Battle Mage is not running any of the Lava Atronach summonings, so there is no chance for a large, overwhelming wall getting in the way of any of the Sorcerer's actions.
Yeah. So it's basically the big thing here is Endo isn't as good as, I think, punishing people from moving away from field. He has more tools with the Stormcloak Vanguard to try and take field lane, but he's not as good at punishing people from running to the shadow lane. That's what Brett and Conjurer's role in the standard mid-BM deck has usually been, is you run to the shadow lane, I'm going to punish you with this creature that really wants to farm your shadow lane creatures. So he can more frequently take the field lane, but maybe doesn't get as much from doing so.
Having it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll see. Game 2, Endozoa is sticking on that Battle Mage as per the rules. Wendorm with the Sork. Endozoa has Luzra, Sataning Courier, and Blood Dragon on the mulligan. Luzra, a card that a lot of aggressive or mid-range blue builds have been including, just because blue lacks particularly meaningful 2-drops outside of Harpy and Wardcrafter, and usually you're going to want more than just a handful. So Luzra has found a home there. Wendorm with the Wardcrafter to get some early pressure going, and then an Encanto and Shadowfen Priest that will probably be tossed back. Hopefully, the Sorcerer is on the ring, which they always love to have available if they can.
And so we don't have the mulligan visible for you guys, but it is Wardcrafter Encanto for Wendorm. Wardcrafter Encanto Shadowfen, rather, so we would expect to see the Wardcrafter kept. Yep, and the other two are going to head away.
Siege Catapult and Manic Jack for Wendorm. Those are some very, very nice cards to see in your opening hand.
The Wardcrafter as well is very, very nice ones.
Yes.
Yeah, very strong hand to start here from Wendorm. But Battle Mage does what it does, finds its Wardcrafter on 2. Who needs to run a lot of 2-drops when you can just run Wardcrafter?
Wendorm has the Catapult Hound combo in hand, which is such a nice play. Vigilant Ancestor, relatively good at dealing with that, especially when combined with a Wardcrafter.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. what the line is, because Wardcrafter coming downfield here could be a big roadblock for Windorm. He really wants to ring out this Manic Jack, but just super punished by a lot of different lines. The Stormcloak Vanguard or the Satanine Courier, so we may be forced to just go with the Skint Hound and play a little bit off curve, but no, he's gonna get ready. He's gonna get ready to just be punished by Endozoa here.
That was really ambitious. There's a lot of ways Endozoa could get into that, between Crown Quartermaster daggers. I understand that play. It's one I've made a couple times because I was feeling myself a little bit. It was like, yeah, this game's gonna go well, and then suddenly get a Stormcloak Vanguard into the face.
No creature in hand either is a little bit awkward.
Right.
So he's looking for something that costs us 4 to activate it, and if he doesn't activate it, then he's in a little bit of a rough spot. But the ward is quite nice.
Yeah, the ward is real nice. Cradle Crush on the draw for Endo in a couple turns could be a pivot point for this game. I imagine just the Stormcloak Battalion to try and contest a little bit, but the Vigilant Ancestor would make a good amount of sense too. But nope, Battalion will be the play.
Just gonna contest as best he can.
Bleak Coast Troll will be
yes. Very, very good draw for Windorm there. He is going to make the trade, which appears to be the right decision, but going into this Cradle Crush, Endo needs basically 1 turn to stall, and then this Cradle Crush is going to clear out that lane. So, but it's a... Yeah, this Vigilant Ancestor coming out, the Cradle Crush is going to buff up the Lazergician, so Windorm in a bad position here, seeing both hands. Endo's just going to come down with this Cradle Crush and clean everything up.
I'd be so tempted to just negation and go all face.
I think if you're doing that, you're just bolting in all face.
Yeah, that's fair.
And one of the downsides of that is you're leaving this Bleak Coast around to get farmed, because you're worried if you're worried about Cradle Crush here, this Bleak Coast would buff up the Lazergician, and then the Lazergician would be able to take up the Bleak Coast. That's a full clear.
Do you play around Cradle Crush, or do you just say, if he has Cradle Crush, I lose this game?
You're giving up 5 damage. I don't think you're in a position where you straight up concede to Cradle Crush.
I think you're right. I think bolting here is probably perfectly fine. Yep.
Yeah. Going with the bolt, and the big thing is whether the trade with the Bleak Coast happens on the Lazergician. It does. That's going to make his Bleak Coast or his Cradle Crush a little bit worse at the expense of 5 damage this turn. And then with a relatively high prophecy list, so good ordering by Windorm, leading with the 5. And then the Crown Quartermaster, I think, needs to come down in shadow. There it is.
The other option was the Manic Mutation, but that's a little unreliable, so not the case. This Cradle Crush is the decision of Endozoa's day. Will nicely contest the Troll as well.
Yeah, but the damage is about to start coming for Windorm. Double negation is super interesting here. I don't think you do it.
Well,
I would be super tempted. First.
Is that a ward? It is a ward!
Oh my gosh.
That is so good for Windorm. Okay, now
ridiculous.
that that's gotten ward, do you still negation twice and just say now it's impossible to deal with?
No, I think this makes it so you definitely don't negation, because now you're like you're not as afraid. They have Rapid Shot and go for it. Endo hits the Prophecy Harpy, gonna knock off a 2 damage, and now you can kind of save the negation there, fire that off on the Harpy.
Mm-hmm.
Put him within double 4 range, but Endo in a pretty good spot of his own.
A second prophecy.
This Morgul, yeah. And running a few more prophecies in the normal list. I believe he is running 12. He's got Harpies, Morgul's, Groutwood.
See 11. There's
11. So one of the 2 of.
There's only 2 copies of Green Pact Ambusher.
Yep. I keep calling it Groutwood Ambusher, but yeah.
Same idea.
So running a little bit more, not 40% more, but definitely a little bit more. Yeah, he's gonna use both negations here, but the Morgul waiting in hand. The Vigilant Ancestor waiting there. So not using the dagger potentially big here for Windorm. It makes a little bit harder for him to find the lethal. I suppose he only has 2 bolts left in the deck, so maybe a little bit unrealistic to hope for that double bolt out for lethal.
One of the noteworthy things about the mid-battle mage archetype is it is notoriously lacking in healing options. The damage that you put down is going to be damage that sticks. So if Windorm can hit a couple prophecy bolts, maybe find an Ancano, there are ways for Windorm to win this one, but that's a lot of damage coming from that Cradle Crush. Shadowfen Priest is a pretty solid pickup to try and answer that.
Vigilant Ancestor gonna come down. Really wish he had another negation who would have been able to push this 5 here, but not in the cards.
And Ozoa identifying that troll, the Bleak Coast troll, is in fact going to be shackled for a little bit longer. I have time to go on the aggressive here.
Yep.
Not really much Wendorm is looking at that can answer this. The Shadowfen Priest can at least knock down that power a good amount. That's basically a heal 8.
I'm looking at this as Wendorm's in a totally reasonable spot here. He needs 1 damage, basically, because he's able to push through the Morkel here.
I'm ready.
Gets to push to 6.
No prophecies.
Yeah, so the Morkel's the only defensive tool. He can buff up the 0-1 trade into the 3-1, but he's dead to 1 damage, a negation, a bolt. It's a lot of outs for Wendorm here. And if he does that, he doesn't actually have a way to trade into this Bleak Coast, so he's dead to negation on the left side. There's It's a very tough turn here for Endo. He's going to go ahead and swing in. Wild's Incarnate picked up. Mentor's Ring is going to be the damage that he needs.
Yeah, Mentor's Ring is enough reach in this case.
Yeah.
Blood Dragon coming down, no immediate impact on the board. Wendorm will be able to take this one.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and trade in with the Crown Quartermaster. Mentor's Ring on the Shadowfen Priest is going to push lethal.
Don't underestimate me.
See it? There you go.
There, he found it.
That'll be tying the series up 1-1, right on.
Yeah.
So that's going to put Endozoa onto an aggro Crusader deck.
Yeah.
It's one
like
that a
this deck.
lot of... What was that?
I like this deck.
I like this deck a lot.
I like
Crusader is...
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I played last season because it's a fun deck, it's a fast deck, it's a really effective deck.
Yeah, I think Crusader is really, really strong right now. I think Crusader and Halalu are both tier 1. There's an argument for both as potentially the best ones in the game, and I like his build. He's not going with the Resolute build. There's about 37 different builds you can go of Aggro Crusader, but the big thing that he's running that I like is he's running Triple Cleric of Kind. It's a card I very much like. I think it's well positioned right now. He's increased the prophecies a little bit with those kinds. He's also running the Green Pact Ambushers as well for the mirrors, but mostly it's kind of your standard face jamming list. Interestingly enough, running Seal and not Garnag. We're not running Garnag. Fast enough to not run Garnag is a interesting way, but we're running 3 Firebrands, 2 Marked Men, and 3 Merchants, and 3 Scimitars, so we've got 11 cards, 1 mana or below, which is, you can kind of tell what he's trying to do.
Yeah, this is a list that another one of the TRS members, I think it was Immortal August, was working on a lot last season, and I think Endo took a lot of inspiration from that list as well. It was one that he used to another TRS member used to win the TRS qualifier last month. So a lot of attention is being paid to Crusader right now. How do you think
Wait, who won the
a
qualifier
sorcerer?
last month?
What was that?
Who won the qualifier last month? Wasn't it Coveras?
It was. Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking of a couple months ago. Yeah.
Sorry,
Game 3.
I gotta. Sorry, the only thing I'm good at is remembering Tessel competitive tournaments. I was like, no, is my usefulness declining?
So, no ring for the sorcerer this time, and Endozoa gets Mudcrab Merchant for a turn 1 drop and Shining Saint for a turn 2 drop. Wendorm's opening mulligan is utter trash and will probably all be pitched back immediately.
Yeah, Wendorm is on the top, so you guys cannot see his, but it's Mentor's Ring, Talvos Magister, and a Lightning Bolt. All of those can go away forever. Maybe not forever, but at least a little bit until, maybe you keep Mentor's Ring just for helping you in the last game, for a little bit of good luck.
Looks like they're sitting at mulligan. I'm going to let them know real quick that they're good to go. Just in case they're sitting for our case. This is one of those things that the developers added back in just for us being able to sit at mulligan indefinitely so that casters can catch up.
Thank you, Sparky Deckard.
You guys are the best. All right, it's much better for Wendorm. Crown Quartermaster, Daggerfall Mage, Royal Sage. Always, and that Wind Keep Spell Sword 1 through 4 drops, all nicely on curve, taken care of.
Ooh. Piers. Okay, no, I thought we might have this back. Nope. Talking Mudcrab Merchant coming down. Ring on the side for Endozoa. Super interested to see if he's gonna bring out the Scimitar. I would consider it. He's not gonna.
I would be really tempted.
Yeah. A little bit too weak to negation, but you're kind of fine if they use their turn on negation. You just come back with your Cleric of Kind. He's gonna go with the Wind Keep Spell Sword instead.
Shining Saint, a nice answer here, being able to cleanly respond to the Crown Quartermaster.
Yeah, it's a nice answer, but this Winky Spellsword is still looking at a 2-for-1. You have plenty of tricks to deal with that, but it's still looking at a 2-for-1.
May we serve you with every word.
That makes plenty of sense as well. Get a value trade, get 2 bodies on board. Skinned Hound is really good on Windkeep Spellsword, though.
Yeah, it's better on Daggerfall Mage.
That's true. That's very true.
If your opponent's using the silences on the Daggerfall Mage in this sort of matchup, you're pretty ecstatic, and you're even looking at maybe a health advantage against a deck running 8 1-drops and 3 0-drops. You're maybe looking at a health advantage as a sorcerer, which is just insane. You'd never even consider that as a possibility, even off ring.
Yeah. It is also, speaking of ring, Endo has maintained all 3 charges through these turns, not decided to ring anything out quite yet.
Yeah, going with the Mudcrab over the Cleric of Kind was definitely an interesting decision, but Endo, obviously somebody who likes basically informing his decisions as best he possibly can, so just giving himself the maximum amount of options with the Mudcrab Merchant was reasonable.
Absolutely. Wendorm does have Royal Sage available, but there's not a lot of value there on just the 2 creatures. But after this turn, it looks like it could be unlikely to get that health lead anytime soon, so do you just jam that?
It's interesting. The problem is here you want to trade into this Orc Clan basically every time.
Yep, because you'd save 4 damage there.
So the Skinned Hound is presenting you with a 2-for-1, just go ahead and take it. But the Royal Sage is presenting you with the only value it's gonna get you for the entire game. The other thing is, even though he can't pair anything with his Skinned Hound next turn, the majority of his deck is gonna be able to be played with it. So we're expecting that he's hoping that he's gonna find something next turn to play with this Skinned Hound that will make it so he's not just kind of hanging all of this mana.
It's also noteworthy, Endozoa's hand, a little clunky. There's not a whole lot for doing with it, and a prophecy for Wendorm.
That is absolutely huge.
That means Skinned Hound now offers really nice trades.
Lightning Bolt's going to come down. That's going to clear the board. No creatures in hand for Endozoa. It's going to be difficult for him to push this damage. Only 1 rune broken, so this Wild's Incarnate's even going to get value. Getting Sage and Incarnate value against a deck this fast is just redonkulous.
That's nothing you ever bank on.
No.
Does have a full clear here with Lightning Bolt, but no reason to go for that yet. You can just guard up your Skinned Hound.
Going for the 5-mana Skinned Hound. Oh, Pit Lion.
That is the saddest Pit Lion.
Potentially the worst card in the entire deck, picked up for Endozoa there.
It's a one of in this list too.
Yeah, that is a rough draw. Frankie in the chat probably telling people to cut down to 2 Pit Lions, based on that.
Yeah, Endo's cut it all the way down to just the 1 Pit Lion,
Yeah.
and we'll take a full clear here. Second Wild's Incarnate probably still going to be getting value.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna bolt this.
Yeah, every time. Keep the board nice and clear.
Oh no, Endo just cannot find his cards. The Wild's Incarnate gonna come down, I think, here. Ooh, the Magister is a good choice as well. Incarnate. Get it while it's hot. Even in just the 1 card, getting the guard up. Force your opponent into the field lane where you have these wards to go back in and contest.
Oh
and
my god! Cooper.
Endo not currently figuring out if he can come up with a version of Crusader that doesn't run Divine Fervor.
Oh, that is the most tragic thing I've ever seen.
He's still not completely out of this. If he can get a couple of good draws, if Wendorm can misorder these attacks, the Triple Fervor can maybe push just a ridiculous amount of burst, but...
Kindlehearth Brawler is one of those ones that if you give it +3, it's now a 5 attack creature. If that's still not going to be able to punch through these mooses.
Yeah, it's gonna go up to 8 health with the 3 fervors. You know there's 2 daggers in hand in the tome, so you know your opponent just has the ability to go tome dagger, trade into your Candlehearth, and then this Pit Line is still locked in your hand. So I think he's forced into just holding this.
Yeah, it is gonna hold it indeed. Siege Catapult in hand for Wendorm activated really quickly. Telvos Magister also looking really nice in my opinion to just kind of seal the deal real well, wrap it up in a bow.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to just develop as much power here as possible, which means Catapult and then double 3s just looks very, very strong from this position.
Yep, Mammoth and Spirit would also be a completely reasonable play.
He's going to go with the Telvos instead.
Hit down to 26, call that a turn. I know it's a green packed ambusher, so that does turn on Pit Lion.
Yep. Crucially, they both guards, and Wendorm is showing lethal, knowing that they have the dagger in the tome. He is presenting exactly 26 damage. So you kind of have to do something here.
Yeah. Pit Lion will come down as an 8/8, which is nice and sizable, but Wendorm has really nice trades here with that warded creature. Can go Tome and Dagger to trade into the Candlehearth Brawler and then push, 12 damage plus a little bit more, maybe?
Yeah, we could keep even the 5/6 and the Telva's alive here. If we go with the Tome Dagger on the Moose in the right lane, and then go with Dagger on the Telvas to clear off the pit line. You lose the Moose in the right lane if you do that. There's probably a way to keep a lot of stuff alive. I'm trying to figure it out right now. How do we keep the most things alive in this scenario?
Oh, you can J-Man Kano to clear the 5th Legion, the Green Pact Ambusher, and then Dagger, and then you only lose the 5th Legion. Okay, that works.
He doesn't care. He just wants to carry. We're just gonna get rid of the catapult.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm ready.
And then we're
You still
gonna
can
get Tome
drop
Dagger
it
on the Telvas.
Yep, that's also a very good option.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I feel like you could have kept 2 of these 5 attacker creatures alive, and we're gonna lose this 5/6 in the right lane. We could have kept both the Wilds Incarnate in the left lane alive, as well as the Telvas and the Catapult, lost only the Crown Quartermaster.
No, it's fine. You just roll ward off your mutation.
Oh,
Okay.
Is he gonna do it again? No, not quite.
That would have been insane. So that does clear off all of Endozoa's board, which is a pretty sizable board. Oh my god, a Crusader's Assault.
The whiffs in the deck for Endozoa not doing him any favors. This Flesh Atronach is a 9/9 ready to come down for 6 mana, which I think might just be the line here.
Sorry it had to come to
He's
this.
gonna swing in, which is gonna give Endozoa a lot of outs here. Considering the triple fervor, there's the Grotwood Ambusher. So now I think you're gonna be playing this on Kano to knock it down. Although, when I say a lot of outs, I understand he's got triple fervor, but there's a lot of chunks about to come down for, a lot of chunks on the board rather for Wendorn.
It's a lot of outs compared to the 0 that there were before.
He's got 2 chances for Red Year.
Orclan Captain, not one of them.
Mud crab merchant. Read my lips.
Because he can ring out this Mud Crab.
Mouthpaw.
Pack Leader not
Pack
gonna do
Leader.
it. Second Red Year.
Crab
Can we get it?
Read my lips.
It's not a snap decision. Leaf Lurker?
Leaf Lurker not gonna do
no
it. He's got
charges
he
in hand.
has no interaction. So this is just gonna be it. That 8's gonna swing in, break the last ring. Go ahead and guard up with the Rift Thane,
We stand united.
but it's not gonna be enough 2 creatures to trade into that Rift Thane. Just hoping for a misorder from Wendorm at this point.
Yep.
I don't even think there's a misorder that loses him the game, unfortunately.
I don't think so either. I think you just double trade into the Rift Thane and then swing with your nice Telvas Magister, and that should be the game. Wendorm does appear to see it.
Sorry it had to come
That
to
will
this.
be 2-1 for Wendorm, taking the series over Endozoa. Look
Yeah.
at that. Those are some nice games.
Yeah, Wendorm coming back on the mid-sork, playing a little bit shaky on the Factotum Archer. A little bit shaky on the Factotum Archer, but he was able to bring it back with the mid-sork, stabilizing against that Crusader. Crusader just it's a really, really rough draw for Endo. You gotta feel
triple
for
fervor and
Yeah.
then the Crusaders Assault.
The top deck
it's one of those
pit
games
line.
where
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's tough to watch.
Variance hurts sometimes, but that will wrap up that series. A little change up in the schedule. If anyone has been checking their Discord, we are going to be casting match number 58 next. For anyone who's keeping track at home, that is going to be Yellow Wild Wolf versus Snacksy Man. Snacksy Man,
Return
one
of
of
the
those
snacks.
very, very veteran players, streamer for a long time, was always talking about how Factotums are tier 1, but they're just hard to play because every card has 2 decision points. Really, really curious to see what someone who has been around for a long time and then not around for a long time is going to be bringing. But we'll have to wait until after a quick break for that one. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back with some more Elder Scrolls Legends gameplay.
All right, guys. Hello and welcome back to WarpMeta number 51. We're moving on to the round of 8. And we have Return of the Snacks, Mr. Snacksy Man, going up against Yellow Wild Wolf. Yellow Wild Wolf, somebody who has been doing very well on the ladder recently. Seen him compete for top 10s, compete for, I've seen him as high as number 1 on the ladder, running some interesting sorts of builds. So we'll see what he brought today and what snacks he brought. My name is Ianbits. I'm joined here with Lazergician. Laser, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Currently trying to get Snacksy Man to accept me in game so I can spectate that wonderful, wonderful man.
All right. Well, I'll help you with that, and you can talk about Snacksy's deck lists. We will start with his. I believe this is his Sorcerer. He's bringing Sorcerer, Tribunal, and Telvanni. The Telvanni has been banned, and let's take a look at the Sorcerer.
Yeah, the Sorcerer is a kind of old school with a couple new toys mid Sorcerer. A little bit slower, is running things like Tavar and Ravot, and also runs a small bit of the Silence package. So it's running the Corrupted Shades, which are very good value cards that can deal a lot of damage over a couple turns. Is running 1 copy of Knight of Order, which is the new card that silences all minions in any given lane. Then also runs the Gatekeeper, which is something that a couple people have been experimenting with in mid-Sorcerer. It's a card that's relatively good in aggressive mirrors, where your 1 attack is usually going to be more meaningful than the opponent's 1 attack. And otherwise, it's running a lot of the nice staples, such as the Skinned Hound, Siege Catapult, Manic Jack, and all of that good jazz.
Yep. So interesting stuff there. Generally a pretty standard list, but is running quite a bit of top end. No 1-drops. Yeah, a lot of top end in this list with Bone Colossus and Wilds Incarnate. So let's take a look at take a quick look at the Tribunal next.
Yep, that is a Control Tribunal. Running a lot of the things you're going to expect to see. Is running full play sets of both Cast into Time and Piercing Javelin. Interestingly, is running a copy of Théodon, Duke of Mania. Ian, you're a fan of that card, right?
I love Théodon. Oh, it's so good. It's just so much fun to play with. I don't know how great it is. I genuinely don't know how good it is as a card. But it's the most fun card to play with in the game. It's if not the most, then definitely up there. Just the way it changes how you have to kind of do things, how do you have to worry about lane control, how you have to make trades. It changes everything, and it's really, really cool that 1 card can do that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then there's also a Conscription Telvanni that has been banned, so we will jump over to Yellow Wild Wolf's decks. First up, there is an aggressive Halalu deck. It's standard, it's tried, it's true. You know what it looks like. Lots of cards that you can vomit out all at once. Notably includes Serial, the 3 Magicka 3/3, where if it pilfers, then the next card you draw is reduced by, I believe, 3 Magicka.
Yeah, this may actually be the WarpMeta debut of Serial. We've not seen it.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
It's a fun card. It's one that I don't think a whole lot of people have put a whole lot of attention into, but Yellow Wild Wolf, smart player, we'll see what kind of value that can generate. And the other one that is not banned, Yellow Wild Wolf, is running a mid Dagoth that was banned. Instead is going to be running the Conscription Telvanni. This is one that gets a lot of use. Pretty classic deck. Is running the Journey equivalent or variant of this one with 3 copies of Conscription, of course. Anything catching your eye on this one?
Not particularly. Sorry, I apologize. We're having some issues with the friends list. So we may actually have to just look at this from one side. I apologize about the technical difficulties, but I think we're gonna have to just watch this one from Snacksy's side. And we'll have to ask Wild Wolf to relog after this game. For whatever reason, Wild Wolf is appearing offline. For whatever reason, it's been very awkward today in terms of the friends list. So I apologize about that, but we can get that fixed for you before the next game. So let's get all of that ready so we can jump into the game for you guys.
Yep. So while we are getting everything squared away, we do have a few sponsors for the WarpMeta tournaments. You can view all of those at warpmeta.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at warpmetagg. Also noteworthy, this tournament series is completely free to enter. There are no ranked requirements, no requirements for deck building other than the rules for having 3 of them. And different classes. So if you've ever been interested in joining the WarpMeta tournaments, I highly recommend it. You get a lot of nice experience, get to meet a whole bunch of really friendly people people and get to play some really high level legends, which, let's be honest, if you're watching this, you're probably interested in already. So highly suggest you check it out. There is a lot of information in the Discord channel. You can find that information. I believe if you do !Discord, then it will come up. If not, I'm sure someone will post a link in the chat because our viewers are the most helpful in the world. Yeah, highly suggest you give it a run. We've had plenty of people who have played their very first tournament come back and say, oh, that was so much fun. I'm so glad I did this, even if they got knocked out in the very first round. So highly suggested.
Yeah.
How are we looking on the tech side?
Well, we have to let the players know they're good to go. For whatever reason, Yellow Wild Wolf we're not able to view his hand for this game, but luckily Snacksy Man is able to let him know that we are good to go. So we're just going to be watching this from one side,
Greetings,
and that is the side of Monsieur Snacks.
Well, I can see Yellow Wild Wolf's hands, so I can kind of put a focus on that side. Yeah, I'm more important.
Magic.
They like me better. So Yellow Wild Wolf can open with either a Barrow Stalker or Thieves Guild
smell
Recruit.
the
Barrow
stench
Stalker
of
will
the
be the
living.
play. Try and contest that siege catapult. Snacksy Man responding with a 2-attack creature of his own in that Daggerfall Mage. Wild Wolf has Skinned Hound as a follow-up, if so desired. Thieves Guild Recruit and Shadow Shift the other playable cards at the moment. Expecting to see a Skinned Hound coming down. Oh, comes down in Shadow. Interesting. And is going to be guarding itself and then Shadow Shifting over for that card draw.
Wrong place for a
Finds a
midnight
Mira
stroll.
Shrine off the top. Snacksy Man on the response drawing a Corrupted Shade. Not quite capable of filling that lane up yet for the catapult.
No, and this is something I think Snacksy is very much aware of, and I think he's fine with it. He's less about using this catapult as a short term, let me go in and start jamming face, but it's more about just
I bargain.
having a bunch of resilient threats, and catapult included in that resilient threats. Just make it hard for your opponent to remove, so eventually the catapult's going to get value, even if it's not immediate. You have the Bone Colossus in the hand waiting for that very reason.
Yep. Corrupted Shade is a nice thick threat as well. Going to be coming down in Shadow, trying to sneak some damage through there. Yellow Wild Wolf off of the Thieves Guild Recruit managed to get a Nahag Leave, so that is a discounted 6-cost untargetable guard. Snacksy drawing the Manic Jack is also pretty nice. Surprised to see Snacksy putting that Corrupted Shade in the Shadow just for the sake of trying to get Catapult online, but like you were saying, not too high of a priority immediately.
Yeah.
Manic Jack coming down raw, and Yellow Wild Wolf has Ice Storm to respond, or can jam a Nahag Leaf. There's also an Ordinary Necromancer in hand, but not quite that useful yet, is going to put down the Ice Storm.
Yeah, and it's a very rough position for Snacksy Man here. It just hasn't been able to push the damage. He does have the ability to push another 5 here. Get ready for the Corrupted Shade. And the Bone Colossus seems very strong. Bone Colossus is going to be very good for just kind of keeping this series of threats rolling.
Bone Daddy, one of the better refuel cards in terms of board presence. Yellow Wild Wolf is just gonna jam the Nahag Leaf, but does already know or should know that Snacksy Man still has that Tome of Alteration.
Yeah, it's not going to do him a whole lot, though. It's going to knock out the Nog Leaf, and then it's going to die and leave him with just a 5-2. So I think we're going to see this Bone Colossus come down here.
Get some pressure down, absolutely,
Yeah, try and push the damage that way. And you're still left with that option because your opponent can't effectively trade into this Corrupted Shade.
So Yellow Wild Wolf has a Telvanni Cat's Paw alongside a Cruel Firebloom in hand. Also notably has a second copy of Ice Storm in hand, which could be pretty useful at some point pretty soon.
Yeah. At some point pretty soon now? I would use it now.
I would probably use it, because you can go ahead and send that in, and then you can use the Cruel Firebloom if you're really concerned, but I don't think you need to be. Go ahead, clear.
Extra 5, yeah. Negation, not necessarily what you wanted to see because it's going to be very difficult. Get this catapult activated. Second Bone Father.
That is what you want to see.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Catapult's gonna
damage
come
being
down. He does
pushed.
have the negation to activate it now, so looking at just 2 damage that he needs to push if he's able to get this catapult through. That's 9. Opponent's sitting at 11. Telvanni is known for being able to heal, though.
Wild Wolf has a Necromancer's Amulet in hand to do exactly that. I'm looking at the Telvanni Cat's Paw and Sorcerer's Negation and Cruel Firebloom rather in Wild Wolf's hand as a way to try and clear this board off a little bit. Get some draws. You can even pair it with the Necromancer for a little bit of healing.
Must I do everything myself?
Looks like gonna forgo the healing, save the Magicka for something more impactful. Does snipe the Bone Daddy and draws a Telesis Conscription. So 2 turns away from that. In hand, there's also a Scout's Report, but going to drop an Odinir and Necromancer. Could get the Cat's Paw back because
Must I
Yellow
do
Wild Wolf
everything
does have
myself?
another Cruel Firebloom in hand from the first one. 2 more draws. Does get the full clear Black-Eyed Messenger and Treeminder into hand for their efforts. And a Shrieking Harpy off of the Shrine draw. Snaxy Man, on the other hand, gets a second Bone Colossus, and Wild Wolf doesn't have a good way to answer this one. Has Odaving in a few turns, Telesis Conscription in a few turns, but no Ice Storm, no Red Brahmin, nothing to that effect.
Well, he doesn't need to necessarily hold the whole thing. You're not super afraid if you just see this. The big daddy needs to come down. The father needs to come down. You can leave the little kids, but basically you just want to get the 5/5 off the board because that's going to knock 8 damage off. If he's able to do that, he's in a much better position.
So Shrieking Harpy is going to come down, get a little bit of shackling done. There's also a Blackhand Messenger and a Treeminder available for a little bit of stall.
Gonna knock down that 2 damage.
Yep. Sorcerer's Negation can clear off the Windkeep Spell Sword. I'm still looking at trying to get that Necromancer's Amulet down sooner rather than later, but that's just me.
I'm looking at lethal here if Snexy can draw another negation or another silence. Not able to find it, but we can push a ton of damage here. We can get him to 6.
Hovering the Manic Jack, looking for 2.
Gets him to charge. That's gonna do it.
So that's 5 damage there, and get 7, and then you can negate the.
Oh no!
Treeminder.
He needed the not manic mutation there.
Yeah, he needed to save that one because now he doesn't have enough magic
Yeah,
to both negate
he would have been
and
able.
lightning bolt.
Yeah, he would have been able to push the 5. He's still in a very good position here because he's gonna put.
Absolutely.
He's gonna put him to 1, but he needed to not use the manic mutation there. So Snexy with a key mistake here. Let's see if Wild Wolf can react to it.
Wild Wolf drew Journey. Not going to be too helpful. It has Shrieking Harpy and Sanctuary Pet for shackling effects. Also has Odaving, which won't do it either. Conscription is available.
Conscription is not going to do it.
No, Conscription will not heal out of that lightning bolt range.
I smell.
Ooh, so that's 2 guards, but it's still not going to be quite enough with that lightning bolt in hand. Snaxy gonna take game 1.
Yeah, able to push through.
Look at that. So that will leave Yellow Wild Wolf on the aggressive Halalu next game as soon as they pass the turn.
Well, he could have a Fire Bloom. Does he have?
Nope, there's no Fire Bloom
in
in
hand.
hand.
Okay.
No, there's nothing that Yellow Wild Wolf has that is playable currently.
Okay.
Yeah. That will be the game.
Let's see if he spots it. Oh!
Hey!
With a tough spot from Snaxy. So yeah, Yellow Wild Wolf going to be left on that Halalu.
Yeah, that was an interesting game. I like the way that Snaxy Man played that. I think in my caster vision, I overvalued activating that catapult early a little bit, and I think Snaxy Man definitely made some nice decisions choosing to position away from the catapult every now and again.
Yeah, interesting sort of choices, and I feel vindicated because I've been talking about Bone Colossus for a while, and these aggressive sorcerer lists as just being, I think, a more effective version of the Wilds Incarnates that people usually run, and it's for that exact reason. Wilds Incarnate is going to present the same body as a regular Bone Colossus, but instead of drawing the cards and then playing them on the next turn, it's just putting them right on the board. And you saw those little Bone Colossus tokens just getting in there for a little bit of damage and getting him towards the end.
Yes, that will start us off in game number 2. Yellow Wild Wolf on the ring, Snaxy Man offering, playing first. Are you able to see Wild Wolf this time?
No, but I'm working on it, so it'll be just a delay. Are they waiting at the mulligan?
It looks like they are. I can tell them to wait just to be safe.
Yeah, so I do apologize about the technical difficulties. For whatever reasons, friends list on both accounts, and for some of the competitors as well, have been very buggy today, so trying to get in for the spectate has been a bit of a challenge. So I apologize about those delays, but you get to listen to us talk for another couple of minutes, and what could be
And
better?
don't you love that? We're the best. You can't tell we're also incredibly attractive and handsome men. So
Yeah, that's why we're not. We don't want to distract you guys from the game. That's why we're not using cams today. Is because
it really wouldn't be fair
No.
to the other casters that are in the rotation as well.
just
so
not right.
yeah. So on the mulligan, Yellow Wild Wolf has a Nord Firebrand, a Surin Pawnbroker, and a Corner Club Gambler. Has not pitched anything back yet. And Staxyman has Tavar and Ravot, Lightning Bolt, and Windkeep Spellsword. Looking like Yellow Wild Wolf has a pretty solid hand. Being able to get a Corner Club Gambler down on turn 2 is always a nice one. Staxyman probably going to keep the Windkeep Spellsword. Yellow Wild Wolf decided to full keep. Looks like turn 1, Firebrand and Pawnbroker. Turn 2, Gambler ditches the Pawnbroker card. So this matchup is kind of interesting in my opinion. It's one where if Halalu can get off the board, can get off the ground onto the board quickly, definitely has plenty of potential to get under the Sorcerer. Sorcerer, if they can get the 2-for-1s they're looking for, can do really, really well here as well. This is one of those matchups where the inclusion of guards in a Sorcerer build can be very, very important.
Yeah,
Because
this is the Skinned Hound matchup. This is where Skinned Hound is just ridiculous.
so good. One of the really underrated things about guards in aggressive decks for a lot of newer players is that they protect your threats really, really well. So while obviously it's nice to be able to protect your own health total, that's really, really nice. If you're putting down these nice big threats that can get some nice beefy damage in, well, if they're just going to get removed through creature combat, then they don't really offer a whole lot. That's where guards come in and offer little more value over time by being able to let you use those creatures to attack for an extra turn or two here or there.
So Wild Wolf getting started. Very fast start with a Pawnbroker. Into Firebrand, he has the Suppress available. Interesting to see if he's going to use it here,
Care to make a friendly wager?
or what he's going to pitch. He is going to pitch the Suppress and just going to trade in, lose the Firebrand for the ability to keep both the Fervor and the Anasi. Anasi, obviously insane in these sorts of matchups because the ability to steal Ward and Guard and any number of things, picking up some cards as well. The Hive Defender is looking pretty dang solid in this situation.
Yeah, that's a very solid card. Does decide to go for the Imperial Reinforcements alongside the Mournhold Trader, trading off the Gambler. Snaxyman drawing a Manic Jack. We know that because of a double card. I'm looking at Lightning Bolt here just to try and slow down, or Bleak Coast Troll.
Yeah,
Both players playing very quickly.
It's a Lalu. It's a very fast deck. But so yeah, interesting decisions here for Yellow Wild Wolf. The Hive Defender looks tempting, but relying on a Hive Defender seems rather risky. I don't think you really have any other option unless you really want to slow this game down. If you really want to slow this game down, you can get the Fervor down, but I don't. I think that's just too slow. I think we're going Hive Defender. He is not attacking, which is kind of blowing my mind right now because you've got a Trader on the board. Isn't that what it's supposed to do?
Yes. Trader, for anyone watching who has not seen it, is not a board control tool. I repeat, not a board control tool. That is one that you use to kill things with.
I could do it sometimes, but the further you get into this game, the worse it's going to be in that respect.
I smell the stench
I'm curious why Snaxyman decided to roll mutation on the Bleak Coast Troll.
I was looking for either Lethal Reward.
Lethal Reward, yeah, but that still wouldn't have been enough to take out the Hive Defender.
Lethal would have taken
The
it out,
Nazi.
but it just would have made it. Ooh, this.
Oh my god, this got
Nazi is so
3 or 4
ridiculous.
different keywords.
Breakthrough Guard, Ward, and Drain. 5 mana, 5/5. Anasi is a pretty ridiculous card. We are
Hand
going
of Dagoth, eat your heart out.
We are going to be able to protect this lane as well. Holy cow, that Anasi is ridiculous.
This Hiking Emmerich is going to be some nice value, clearing off the Mournhold Trader that never got a chance to attack. But this Anasi is still a menace that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah. The Hive Defender, or the Divine Fervor looking very nice here. We can even pop the Cleric of Kine onto the,
Well, whatever you'd like, really.
Onto
Probably Anasi.
well, onto the Hive Defender, you could have kept it alive here. But yeah, you can pop it onto the Anasi if you really want to, or you can just hold it in the hand.
Oh, it's true. Anasi does get out of High King Emmerich range just with Divine Fervor. So Cleric of Kain can...
And no Crown Quartermaster's in the deck for Snaxy, so you're not really afraid of that one damage. His damage is going to come in 2s and 4s.
Mm-hmm. In hand, we can see Bone Colossus for Snaxy Man. Little slow. Lightning Bolt could potentially clear off this Hive Defender. Double Lightning Bolt, not enough Magicka, but over 2 turns could be very, very useful.
It's very slow, though, when your opponent just played a Fervor, and Yellow Wild Wolf looking at a very strong turn. Next turn, 5-3, draw a card into 6-6. So these threats aren't exactly going anywhere.
Anasi does get taken out. Daggerfall Mage going to come down to contest in the field lane, but that's still 9 damage that Wild Wolf can push here.
Yeah.
And 2 redraws.
Yeah, we're going to open with the first one, I think.
Ooh, Withered Hand Cultist.
I think you're just
honestly,
playing
if your opponent's...
I'm not afraid of any actions my opponent has here.
If your opponent's playing Lightning Bolts, then you're winning the game either way.
I like playing this field. Don't give your opponent the option to contest it. Using the 5/5 that's going to be left over.
Snaxy Man has a Skinned Hound to try and guard up.
Hopefully, Skinned Hound is going to block off a huge amount of damage here. It is going to leave him alive on board. But lots of options for Yellow Wild Wolf to find lethal. And even if he doesn't, Snaxy Man's running out of options to defend himself. He does still have the Wilds carded in the Sorcerer's Negation, but just too many threats coming out for Yellow Wild Wolf.
Snaxy Man also not running any copies of Mentor's Ring, so there's no potential for Barrow Stalker Ring comebacks.
Hoping, knowing that mana efficiency is going to be a big deal in this, he's just going to pre-negate here, but that...
Crusader's Assault will do it.
Yeah, that Crusader's Assault is going to do it.
Barring any prophecies, of course.
Yeah, he is going to go for the Crusader first, just to see if we can get the Rin skip. Cannot, so he is going to have to risk this, I think, 3rd Lightning Bolt, or 1st, 2nd, or 3rd Harpy coming out for Snaxy.
Nope, Catapult will be it, and that will mean Wild Wolf will tie up the series. Snaxy Man going to be put onto Control Tribunal in this matchup. How do you feel about that? Halalu versus Tribunal?
Yeah, I think Control Tribunal is definitely favored in the matchup, but Halalu is, Halalu can do Halalu things, and that can be any range from drawing a billion cards in their deck, to mud crabbing the perfect answer, to hitting all 3 fervors, to just smorking you down before you get a chance to do anything. Or just drawing Cultist. You could just draw Cultist, that's easy too.
I feel like the fact that you just had, like, a solid 20 seconds to talk about different disgusting things Halalu can do kind of epitomizes the deck, right?
Yep.
Like, there are so many ways it can win between all of the things you just mentioned. Tribunal obviously is very, very good into this matchup because it has lots of reactive cards, and when your opponent is trying to be highly, highly, highly proactive, it makes a lot of sense to try and be responding in the appropriate way every single turn.
Yeah.
But Halalu is scary, so we'll see how it goes.
Halalu is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, I go to sleep at night and have dreams of Halalu just hitting my face over and over and over. So looks like we're just waiting for them to get in-game. Oh, they are right now. So Game 3 of Snaxy Man versus Yellow Wild Wolf in WarpMeta Weekly number 51. Let's see how this one goes.
Yeah, hopefully I can get this to start working again. Again, I do apologize about some of the issues we're having. Nothing we can really do on our end aside from do the equivalent of unplugging it and plugging it back in.
So Snaxy Man with a couple of really interesting cards in hand to open up. The Sorcerer's Negation to try and act as removal, and the Gatekeeper. Yellow Wild Wolves and Halalu almost always attack by a little bit of damage here and there across a lot of different creatures. There are different builds of Halalu, of course, but by and large, they're a wide board kind of deck. The Gatekeeper shuts that down immediately. That's exactly what the Gatekeeper is best at dealing with. Short of Ice Storm and the Dawn's Wrath that it looks like Snaxy Man is not playing, the Gatekeeper is going to be one of the key ways to shut down wide strategies. Now, it's also 5 Magicka, and Yellow Wild Wolf is the one with the ring, not Snaxy Man, so that's a hard decision to keep. There's also a Shadowfen Priest, which is a pretty easy toss, but we'll see what Snaxy Man decides.
Early Gambler on ring is very nice to have, even against Tribunal, where they can probably answer it a little bit better than most. You're still just happy to see it.
Snaxy Man does draw the Crushing Blow in order to deal with that, which is nice for him. Marked Man into Corner Club Gambler is not looking too bad.
Wait. Did you hear that?
Snaxy Man on the play. Sorcerer's Negation, probably not exactly going down on a 1-1. It is! Okay. I'm just going to go 1 for 1. Yellow Wild Wolf on the play. Corner Club Gambler, Withered Hand Cultist, or Surin Pawnbroker. The plays looks like it will be the Cultist, which makes perfectly good sense to me. Next turn you can Gambler.
Cultist is very, very strong in these sorts of matchups, but the difference is Cultist is much, much better when it's protecting something. It's not protecting something here, it's just kind of protecting itself. Although it does have we do have the defenses to come in, which is quite nice.
Care to make
Corner
a
Club
friendly
Gambler.
wager?
That's what it's protecting. So if this can get through, it's fine. But it's not. We got the shambles coming down, and we're gonna see this Corner Club Gambler get cleared for him. So Cultist is great, but you don't necessarily want to be playing Cultist empty board on 3 against the Tribunal. Big pickup with the Steel Scimitar there, though.
Useful.
Trading off into the Icy Shambles with no damage dealt means it does not get shackled. Hive Defender coming down can get some nice trades into the Cloud Rest, but that Steel Scimitar will trick that combat.
That's why it was big. This Hive Defender was ready to blow this game out, but we see the Steel Scimitar saying, no sir, not today. Withered Head Cultist gonna make that swing, and now a question of whether you want to ring out and jam face. Prophecy very much punishes this, but this is the best board position you can present, so go ahead and present it.
Snaxy Man does draw Thadon, Duke of Mania, would be able to proc it, but not going to happen right now. Just going to go ahead and try and clear some stuff off. Snaxy Man has Piercing Javelin in hand for next turn.
Ooh,
a second Withered Hand Cultist gets drawn.
Up. This is where the Cultist is good, because now we're seeing just a ton of time going to have to be spent by Snaxy. Although this is a very, very nice Prophecy here. Going to go ahead and shackle that Cliff Racer. Cleric of Kind's going to punish this just a little bit.
We must remain steadfast.
But just knocking that 4 damage off the board so you can't jam it at your face next turn is a pretty big deal.
Yellow Wild Wolf all in at this point, but when you're all in on damage in your deck, you're all in on damage in your gameplay. Can Snaxy Man find any way to stop this assault? Shadowfen Priest can silence down the effect of the Withered Hand Cultist, but then there's no follow-up play.
Yep. Just a question of whether he feels comfortable taking the 3 damage from the Cultist this turn. You do present yourself with an ability to fight on board. The other option is to just Javelin, eat the damage this turn, but I think you need to get this body on the board. It's looking very rough for Snaxy. I think this Harpy looked good initially, but he needed it to fight this Cultist. Just having... You can only kill 1 creature this turn. Even though one of them is shackled, it feels bad just not being able to set up to deal with the creatures in an effective way.
I would be really tempted to jav down the still active Cultist for next turn, but there isn't a lot of really good reactive tools in Snaxy Man's hand to follow up with. Yeah. So Thadon...
Just a very, very wonky hand here for Snaxy.
Yes.
Yeah, he just doesn't,
can contest.
He doesn't like the way his turn looks either way. He doesn't like either choice to get rid of the Cultist. He thinks it's just not a winning line, so he's going to go with Thadon and try to get more options for next turn. I think this is probably the correct line.
Shadow Shift, a little bit of anti-synergy for Yellow Wild Wolf, but at this point you have so much Magicka and so few cards that not that big a deal.
Yeah, not even so much anti-synergy, because you do get to save that Cultist, which is... I'd pay 3 mana for that effect.
Yeah, me too. So you can push 6 more here, get Snaxy down to 5. Nope, chooses to just maintain board control.
There's no option to remove this Cultist, and Snaxy, even with his extra card, is going to be in a really rough spot here. Skinned Hound, very nice pickup.
No way to clear.
The Shadowfen and the Skinned Hound is going to push it up to 6, which is going to let you live on board by 1.
1 health is
actually by 2 if the Shadowfen hits the Balmora Puppeteer, but I would expect this is going to hit the Cultist. 1 damage isn't worth it. Just get that off the board, make it so these Crushing Blows can potentially clean up next turn. What is the draw for Wild Wolf? It's a Rift Thane, so maybe some options here for Snaxy. He's getting another 2 cards next turn, and Yellow Wild Wolf can't close the deal just yet.
It's worth noting Snaxy Man is running very little healing. There are 3 Golden Initiates and 3 Barrow Stalkers. Those are the options to get health back.
2 more cards for Snaxy. Can he find it?
execute Tel Voss.
Tel Voss is...
It looks nice, but there's no
I don't think
time.
it's gonna do it. I don't think there's a combination of cards that saves him here, but maybe I'm missing something. But just the amount of mana that everything costs here, you have to Crushing Blow this Rift Thane. That's repping lethal. Every single creature is repping lethal. You can't do anything in the left lane. You can only kill 2 creatures this turn. I think this is over.
Can you Soul Tear back anything?
You can Soul Tear back a Hive Defender.
Yeah, if you Crushing Blow.
No, that doesn't do it because you just don't.
You
have
still
the
have to.
mana.
You have to Crushing Blow either way. So you Crushing Blow, Soul Tear back, maybe an Icy Shambles or a Heartbeat.
No, okay.
that
So you
doesn't
have
do it.
to. You can Soul Tear back a Skinned Hound. So you trade in the Skinned Hound.
Yep.
You
Crushing Blow,
Crushing
and then
Blow.
play the Skinned Hound.
No, that
The
doesn't
Skinned
do
Hound
it.
still
Yeah.
dies. I think Snaxy Man has no ways out.
I think he's cooked.
If two highly skilled, attractive men like us can't find a way out,
I mean, Snaxy's better than both of us by a lot.
probably combined.
But I'm not seeing it. I don't think there's a way to clear
Dawn-
everything.
Dawnbreaker, Crushing Blow, Soul Tearing back, Mammoth wouldn't do it. Harpy doesn't do it either.
No.
Yep, that'll do it. Yellow Wild Wolf will take the series 2-1 over Snaxy. Well played. Very good due diligence by Snaxy, looking for all of the outs, counting all the possibilities, but just not quite there. A mana or two more, maybe a different card in the discard pile may have gotten him there, but not this time. So that means Yellow Wild Wolf will be progressing to the next round.
Yeah, Halalu is a strong deck, guys. Halalu is really, really good. So able to push through, come back 2-0 after losing the first one. He was able to come back with just the Halalu.
Yeah, well, that will lead us into our second to last match. Coming up next will be round 62. We'll be in the semifinals.
Yeah, I think we can actually
Taking a look.
Yeah, we take a quick look at the bracket now.
Yeah, let's take a look. Only a semifinalist on that bottom side of the bracket that we see so far is going to be Super Thanks. And on the top side of the bracket, it will be Yellow Wild Wolf versus Drew the Dolphin, who just knocked out Kassedin. Drew has had a really solid list so far, a lineup so far. He's taken out Lateralis, he's taken out Frogger, taken out Kassedin. Those are some big names.
Yeah, Frogger's one of the players who I have probably the most respect for in the Tessel scene. He's a very, very strong player, and Kassedin, very strong player as well, and Lateralis, very strong player as well. So Drew Dolphin's going to be facing Yellow Wild Wolf. I believe we're going to be watching the other one, though. We're going to be watching Super Thanks versus the winner of Fabu and Wendorm. Wendorm, a name we don't know, but pushing through this tournament and taking out some good players along the way. So he did get a bye the first round. He took out BB Zin. BB Zin is a regular legend player who was able to take down Thuldir in round 1. And then he took down Endozoa, as we saw. He's currently up 1-0 on Fab. We'll see who makes it through in that one. And then we'll watch the winner going up against Super Thanks. Super Thanks is in the finals basically every week. So yeah, we'll see where we go. Today he took down Frenzy in the semifinal, or the quarterfinals. Took down Jelly. Took down This Deck Ain't Free, one of my favorite names in this tournament. And yeah.
And also Mary Wall of Storms.
Yeah.
Whoever that is.
I know Mary Wall of Storms. Mary Wall of Storms awesome. He's always in Twitch. He's a good dude. All right.
I believe that.
Yeah, we'll be back in just a second. As we'll either be back with Game 3 of Windorm versus Fab, or Game 1 of the winner of that versus Super Thanks. All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to WarpMeta number 51. Hope you guys enjoyed the bonus coverage during our break. My name is Ianbits. I'm here with Mr. Lazergician. Laser, how are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Ready to get casting again. That
Yeah.
bonus coverage game was fire, and I'm really
Yeah,
sad
it
we
was-
couldn't cast it.
Yeah, so for those wondering, the reason we weren't doing commentary for that match is in the middle of a match that's not scheduled, we would have to interrupt the game to try and get the players to add both accounts so we could both spectate, and that's unfair to them because at that point they should be focused on their thought process. So we're just gonna let it roll and show you guys the results rather than try to interrupt them and maybe make a worse game as a result. But let's actually quickly go over the decks. We've got Wendorm versus Wendorm going up against Super Thanks 555 coming up next. Super Thanks we haven't seen yet. Wendorm is still on those same decks that we've seen him play, which is the Rage Factotum Archer and the mid-range Sorcerer. So the same band was Dagoth. So let's take a quick look at Super Thanks' decks. Super Thanks running very, very aggressive lineup. He has the very aggressive Crusader, going so far as to even run Shadow Mirror and Relentless Raiders as well. We have the mid-range Battle Mage. This one's still running the Breton Conjurer stuff. I love the one of Unstable Madman. Don't know why it's there, but I love that it's there. Just a relatively standard list aside from the Unstable Madman and sort of the Greenback Ambushers, but we're seeing those become more played. And then lastly, the super aggressive aggro Halalu running Duke Venom Dren for whatever reason, but we'll see if that ends up going in. I wish we could talk more about it, but I think we're actually going to jump into the game because I believe the players are ready, so we don't want to make them wait any longer. We don't want to make you guys wait any longer.
Oh, they're already playing, actually. The rat bastards. Well, Super Thanks is opening up with the Crusader, Wendorm opening up with the Sorcerer. Wendorm is able to get a little bit of control early with a Skin Hound and a 5th Legion Trainer. The two screens. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Skin Down and 5th Legion Trainer is a pretty
There you
solid
go.
combo, but unfortunately only available in Spell Sword and slightly different Spell Sword, which is Redoran. But Super Thanks, pretty aggressive start here. He's got the Cultist out, ready to roll. And Wendorm looking at literal nothing to do next turn, so this is going to be a very, very important draw.
That's never a good place to be. Super Thanks also can drop down the makeshift defenses to contest
He's
the
playing
Wind
everything
Keep
this
spell
turn.
sword.
He's playing everything this turn.
And then Divine Fervor in hand to follow up next
this
turn
lethal?
with Relentless Raider on hand is a ridiculous amount of damage.
We're on 2, 5, 9, 12, 17, plus
Well-
5. He's got 22 damage next turn.
Wendorm probably going to be silencing down the Relentless Raider, I
can.
would assume.
Oh, he does have the ring.
Yeah,
Sorry. I
he has
I
ring.
don't see the ring on my screen. Yeah, he does have the ring.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Yeah,
even
so
know if it's
ring-
Shadowfen.
It's either Shadowfen or Manic Jack. Those are the playable options.
Yeah.
Shadowfen does come down. Super Thanks can still push a ludicrous amount of
this
damage
is
behind the back of this Divine Fervor.
That's not the one he wanted to silence.
Ooh, why?
Yeah.
Why was that the
That
case?
silence choice just cost him 5 points of life, I believe. No, it might only be 4. I don't think he can break all of the rules.
A lot of damage.
Oh, his face is gonna take some punishment here. And yeah,
Yeah,
he can't break
probably
all of the
more
runes, so
than
that
one.
silence choice just cost him 5 damage to face.
And Wendorm does not have any way to deal with wide boards in this. I do not believe they are running the Gatekeeper. So I think this is looking like a pretty clean win for Super Thanks.
Does he have the Skin Hound? Is there anything the Skin Hound's gonna do?
Barrow Stalker
Clear
and
up
Skin
enough?
Hound
I don't-
offer
I don't-
2 guards.
The Manic Jack is the one you can push up the furthest. You push the Manic Jack up to a 5/7.
Mother of God.
You're just gonna play another guard, I guess. That's
Barrow
still, I think,
Stalker.
negation and mutation on the Skin Hound to try and roll guard.
Well, there's still a ring charge
Oh yeah, he does that. Yeah, the Barrow Stalker.
for Barrow Stalker.
Okay. So yeah, he's able to defend himself. He's gonna
Yeah,
be
surprisingly
at,
well,
He's gonna be at 2.
I smell the stench.
which
of
is
the living.
more than 0, which is really
Yeah.
all you care about right now.
He is
Rift Fang,
basically
the
spent
draw.
in terms of defensive tools, though. Especially with this Fervor up, where Emmerich's not going to do it. Bolt's not going to be enough with 2 creatures coming down. He's going to need a miracle here.
They will not get past me.
I'm not sure what that
think of
miracle.
anything that will do it.
I'm not sure what the miracle comes in the form of.
6 Magicka Dawn's Wrath.
Yeah. Well, there's a bolt to bolt your own face. You already had one. You didn't need another, but you can play the top deck one. Say you top deck lethal and go from there.
Makes you feel better.
Interesting to see him open with the Sork against
Victory is
against the
yours.
aggression.
Yeah, I agree. Both Super Thanks' lists are hyper aggressive,
Yeah.
and
And he
Sorcerer is known to be relatively vulnerable to being taken under.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He just played all of his 1-drops and then played a Fervor, and Sorcerer just, you're playing one creature a turn, you just can't compete with that.
Yeah, went pretty well for Super Thanks, so that'll be 1-0. Wendorm is going to be left on the Factotum Rage Archer.
Yep.
There is a good amount of healing in that. There's a couple Drain creatures. I don't believe there is any copies of Snaketooth Necklace. However, there's good opportunities for guards between the Factotum Assembly Guard. So
Yeah, I
Archer
think
probably
both
has-
players went into this thinking, okay, the Factotum's going to have to 2-0. The Battle Mage was banned for Super Thanks, and that's why I say that, because if the Battle Mage was the ban for Wendorn, he is just banking on this Archer being able to push through against these aggressive lists. He's happy with that matchup. He doesn't want to give him the one thing that can maybe beat the Archer, and that's fair. Archer is very, very strong against these aggressive decks, but you give Crusader and Halalu 2 opportunities to high roll. It's a little bit iffy.
Problem. Yeah, and they both high roll. Their high rolls are not particularly high rolling.
Yeah,
they do it pretty consistently.
We say high roll, but it's just the deck functioning in its max capacity is probably the
Not
best way to
bricking.
put it. Yeah.
Is it too soon to call that pulling an endo?
That's a big F. That's a big F.
So we're just waiting on them to get in game really quickly. As soon as I say that, the game starts up. So we're going to jump into game 2. Wendorn on the Archer, going to see if he can run it into a 2-0 or if Super Thanks is going to be able to take this series. Super Thanks on the ring has a pretty nice opening. That's what you want. So Wendorn has the Sentry. There's always the temptation to keep Assembled Titan in your opening hand because that card is so good.
I guess the Crusader on the ring, though? You just died on turn 6.
Yeah. Ooh, Super Thanks has some sequencing decisions to make here. Ringing out 5th Legion Trainer makes a lot of sense if you want to get an aggressive, explosive opening, but also Marked Man turn 1 into Pit Lion turn 2 is equally explosive, so...
Yeah, I think the nice thing is you have the opportunity to set up a Pit Lion trigger as well as develop 2 creatures as well as protect your 5th Legion. So that you're leading with the 5th Legion. I think just about every time here is just way too strong of a start.
How do you feel about the +0/+2 choice instead of guard?
I'm fine with that. You have to be fighting at this situation. You do have
Oh,
another.
I'm
You got
mistaken.
another guard in hand too. So
Well, this one also isn't one of the ones that gives guard.
yeah, it is.
This is a symbol... Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is the guard one.
Today I learned
Assembled
that-
Sentry or guard is +0/2 or guard.
Interesting. Apparently when you hover over it after the decision's been made, it doesn't show you what the other option is anymore. Huh, didn't know that. I haven't played with Factotums in a long time.
Because you got another one coming down in a second, so it's just a question of whether you want a 1/3 on board or whether you want a 1/1 guard. And with the facing down the 5th Legion Trainer, it's just a 1/3 every time.
Makes sense. So Wendorn with the Assembled Sentry in hand to get the guard this time, as you just mentioned, and looking at no other plays, and really just a Shrine to drop the turn after.
And banking that he's going to get a good Shining Saint target here, because he chose not to split lanes, get this 3/1 down in the Shadow lane to potentially set up the pit line. He's banking on this Shining Saint being good enough, and considering we have 2 attack buffs already on the board, there's a good chance that's going to end up being true.
And that's the play this turn. Divine Fervor as the follow-up the turn after. Always looks nice. Wendorn with a basically 4 Magicka do-nothing turn coming down the pipeline.
Is he actually not going to play this Shining Saint? If he's playing the Shining Saint, that was just a strict misorder. Yeah, he's going to hold on to it. That's really interesting.
Huh.
Just banking on like a Fighter's Guild? Oh, just playing Shrine facing down this board is absolutely terrifying. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us go with a Rift Thane and a Pit Lion. Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the decision over the Fervor. Set up the lethal. You have the Shining Saint instead of the Rift Thane if he prophesies the Fighter's Guild recruit. You have the Breakthrough to break over, so you have ways to deal with it in both lanes. You have the Chumps in the left lane, the Breakthrough in the right lane, so Guard's not going to get it done, and then the Fervor's going to push a ton of damage. Super setup. Just a dominant board position here.
Yeah, I think you've really said it all. I think the turn off that Wendorm took is just too much of a tempo advantage to really come back
Keeping
from.
that sentry, this game's going to be over before he has the opportunity to play it.
Yeah, and the problem is Factotums have so much of their power budget allocated to Assembled Titan that I understand wanting to keep it, but it so often ends up being too slow, too late, and here we're exactly seeing that.
And here comes the...
Wendorm.
I think we can skip the rune here. Yeah, just 3 into 3. 4 swings
Yep.
in. And... oh! He misordered there, but shouldn't
Yes,
matter.
he did. Fighters Guild Recruit coming down
Yeah, the
means
breakthrough
that
means
4 damage still gets pushed, so
Yeah.
that is still for Super Thanks with a quick 2-0.
Yep. SM Orc, man. Holy cow. That was...
Yo, Crusader, good deck.
Crusader and Halalu, guys. Play the decks. Somebody clip that game and show it to Bones every time he's like talking about how aggro isn't powerful. Like, holy hell.
So, do we have time to check out Drew the Dolphin versus Yellow Wild Wolf then?
Guessing we do, based on how
Because-
quickly that went.
Because, geez, man.
So let's get that set up. We do have both of those players all set up, so we shouldn't need to take a break. We can just keep on rolling.
Yeah, thankfully I have both of them already added. Drew is on a Telvanni. Looks like a aggro mid... oh, sorry, that's an Assassin deck, not a Telvanni deck. Yellow Wild Wolf is on the Telvanni deck. Wild Wolf, a little bit behind, has Ice Storm in hand to try and clear things down. However, Mournhold Trader does not care about your pathetic Ice Storm Mortal. Drew the Dolphin, looking like not a lot of plays. Elderly Matron could come down for a little bit of resource extension.
Is he gonna... no, you never leave him at 7 here. So just interesting order there. Maybe trying to figure out why you would order it in that way. Maybe seeing if you were gonna get a Cliff Racer, so you hold on to the healing hands.
Do you even hold on to it then, though? Maybe because you want to give it 5 bursts instead of 4. I'm not convinced.
Well,
but
it can just be used in other ways alongside damage, rather than only ever being damage in this scenario. You never really know how game's
Right.
gonna go. So probably correct, because a bolt's going on a trader there, so no reason to really hold back the matron. I think it's fine to play that up. So Yellow Wild Wolf, not looking good here. So make sure
It
Pet's
could
gonna
be-
come down on the 4/4, and he is gonna blackhand this down. But
does buy a turn, but the Mad Dash
doesn't actually buy a turn. He's dead on board, and you
Oh,
still have the
dead on
mad
board?
dash.
Oh yeah, that's still 6 damage. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, quick one for Drew the Dolphin. We don't know the score. We did just jump in, so we'll figure out what the score is. These are both going very fast.
Yeah, there have been no matches reported on Battlefy, so that could have been match 1, could have been match 3. Not sure yet. Some people like to report matches as they go. Some people like to report all the matches at the
Yeah, I
end.
usually wait to the end. As soon as the game's over, I'm jumping in and.
Yeah, stay in the zone.
All right, so it looks like that was actually the last match, and Drew the Dolphin took it. So
Oh, there we go.
Both semifinals going very quickly. So we're gonna get Drew the Dolphin against Super Thanks is gonna be our final, and we'll be back with that in just a couple of minutes. Drew obviously just finished up, so they'll take just a moment, and we'll be back.
Look
with the
over
finals.
deck lists, grab some water.
It took about 2 seconds. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, semifinals here and gone. So stick around for
Yeah.
the finals. Hopefully they'll
We'll
be
right back.
a little less anticlimactic than that.
All right, guys, welcome back. We are here for the finals of WarpMeta number 51, and we have frequent finals. Frequent final. What's the word I'm looking for here?
Finalist?
Participant. Yeah, finalist is probably a better word. frequent
Because Super
finals.
Thanks is in the finals
Yeah.
all the damn time, is what we're trying to say. This dude is in the finals, it seems like every week, and for good reason. He plays super solid week in and week out between WarpMeta, between TRS tournaments. Super Thanks is no stranger to victory.
Yep. And so we're going to take a quick look at his decks. He's going up against... Well, we'll talk about who he's going up against in just a second. We've got the mid-range Battle Mage, the Crusader that we saw. It's the only deck we saw from him. That one got banned, so we have the mid-range Battle Mage. This one relatively traditional, although it is running Unstable Madman and Green Pact Ambusher, running Doomfang Ally, which I very much like to see. We've also got the Halalu. Again, we didn't see this one either, but this one is left up. Quite a bit more draw than usual, but still very, very low to the ground, and you're just gonna start blasting people. So, nothing wrong with that. It's what Halalu does. So let's take a look at Drew the Dolphin, who's made it to the finals. Usually we get a chance to view these people throughout the bracket, but Drew the Dolphin we haven't gotten a chance to see. He's gone top 8, I believe, in the last 2 war metas, and he has broken through to the finals today. I really liked his lineup. He is a very, very aggressive mid-range assassin. It's not even mid-range. This is just straight up aggro assassin. We're running Swift Strix, Gamblers. We're running Dune Stalkers and Smugglers, so you can't block anybody down. We got Assassin's Rituals for Manic Jack. We've got Abakian Navigator.
All 3 copies of it, too.
Yeah, just because it's a 2-mana 3/1. Let's just get 2-mana 3/1s on the board. Occasionally it's going to draw
3 copies of Assassin's Ritual in there.
Occasionally it's going to draw Jack, because why not? Yeah, so looking very, very aggressive list here for Drew. And then he has a bit of a slower mid-range kind of defensive style of mid-range Dagoth, where we have like the Ash Oppressors, the Black Hand Messengers. We have Mad Dash again making an appearance in this list. And then obviously you have the Hand of Dagoth and the Cradle Crush, as well as Vigilant Ancestor, which is very defensive compared to, I think, most Dagoth builds. Slower than most Dagoth builds. I think Flow plays a similar style to this, and it works quite well. I believe this is also what Drew the Dolphin used to finish in the top 10. He had a very, very a deck that I really like. So if you guys will hit !decks and you can check it out, that got banned, which was his mid-range Mage, which I think is a really, really strong pick for this current.
I love this deck. This deck looks so interesting. It has a nice high prophecy count. It has some really good defensive options, and also has plenty of options in order to turn the pressure on as well at the same time. I think this list is really cool.
Wait, which one? Because that actually kind of applies to all of them.
That's true. No, I was. To be fair, I love all of the list for exactly that reason. But no, I meant the Mage specifically.
Yeah, let's let you guys in the behind the scenes of a terrible production here. Let's actually show you guys the Mage, because this Mage was really, really strong, and it got banned correctly because I think this deck is very strong. But let's just show it to you guys so you can see, because I think this is one of the reasons he was able to make it this far. Just very, very strong, and just good for the format. It's very defensive, but it does have, again, as you said, the offensive stuff. Prophecy mid-mage I can see being very, very strong right now, just because I think we're moving towards more aggressive lineups in tournaments. Super was able to do it this week. He was able, we had an aggro winner last week as well, so people reacting to kind of the slower decks, the Rages, Rage Warriors and Conscription, by bringing more aggressive stuff, so stay one step ahead, and that's what Drew is doing here.
So you're saying that eventually my mid-range Prophecy Monk might have a shot?
Possibly. Ask Petamax. He's just waiting.
Yes. All right. So with these decks on the lineup, we have Battle Mage and Halalu versus Aggro Assassin and Mid Dagoth after bans are done. I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be super, super interesting. Do you have any opinions on who might have a little bit of an edge?
I think Drew has the better lineup for this specifically, because I think this Dagoth is very, very strong. I think he's very low curve and he has a lot of reactive tools. This Black Hand Messenger is really, really strong against these Crusader styles. But Super Thanks is, up there, is potentially one of the best players in the world. He's a guy I've put at number 1 for quite a while, and a lot of times it doesn't really matter with Crusader and Halalu. They'll be so fast you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, I think you're probably pretty on the nose there. I think I don't think there's going to be any major piloting problems. The game is starting, by the way. So I'm really curious to see how this ends up, just as the decks line up against each other. This is the first time we've also had the top 10 card back on both sides of the board.
Yeah.
Which I am all about.
That's it's appropriate for the final match of the day.
It is, yeah. Super Thanks' hand, a little clunky. Drew's hand, a little easier curve. Super Thanks passing, Drew on the play, deciding whether or not Ring Crafter is the play. In fact, it is. Plays it in Shadow, so that Shadow Shift after as the follow-up has some merit.
So we are having a spectator bug with Super Thanks' hand. We'll give it that up here in just a second.
Super Thanks is hovering the Surin Pawnbroker as the play. Just as a 2-3, try to contest the board a little bit. Don't let Drew get too far out ahead too early, because, again, open deck list, Super Thanks knows exactly how fast these decks can be. Doom Smuggler will help that aggression for Drew, smuggling that over and doing a bunch of damage.
So the Assassin is basically almost 100% of the time going to be on a race plan. So having this was a very, very important placement for the Ring, just getting so quick out to this lead, not giving your opponent to react to anything, but being first on the board to make them be the person reacting. This is a deck that really wants to punish people for trying to, interact with your creatures on board. And putting yourself in this position early on is quite good, but very, very good draw there for Super with the Halalu Sharpshooter, going to be able to take that out. And now Drew has to slow down a little bit and maybe become the person reacting.
And there are a couple options here for Drew. Daggerfall Mage does use Magicka effectively, but then leaves the Doom Smuggler vulnerable.
Yeah, this Doom Smuggler's gone. There's no real way to save this.
You could Assassin's Ritual it, but then that doesn't really buy you much. Like, sure, you
save it though, because you could. Okay, so you swing an Assassin's Ritual, leave it on the right. It's a 3-mana Lesser Ward. That's really, really rough.
Yes, so probably going to be the Daggerfall Mage, and then maybe a Shadow Shift afterward to utilize that buff from the Smuggler if you really want to.
Yeah, I think the Shadow Shifts maybe gotta be a little bit better than that, especially with the Ring Charge left over. You've got a very awkward hand. You want to leave yourself like as many things to do, so I think this is very...
Get that draw first.
Yeah, this is very sadly just Daggerfall. And I don't think you play the Shadow Shift here.
Looks like Drew is probably in agreement. The Daggerfall will come down Shadow and pass over to Super Thanks, who has drawn a Mournhold Trader.
Yeah, he's got another Sharpshooter too.
Which is really, really good against Drew's list. Drew with no actual board development in hand quite yet. That Withered Hand Cultist.
That's a good... Oh, that's a good Cultist. Oh my god. That's ridiculous. He can't do it. He's got a Shadow Shift and hope to maybe find a 2-drop. This is really rough for Drew.
God, that hurts to see.
It is a Root Bender deck running more actions than I think the standard list would usually run. We're running Assassin's Ritual, Shadow Shift, Mad Dash, and
interestingly, I think the Assassin's Ritual is taking the place of what is often a lesser ward slot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if there's like a defined list for these Root Bender things. Root Bender has been sort of tough to nail down a perfect list for it.
Yes, it is.
They missed
So he's going with the Assassin's Ritual instead, which I don't mind. Another action.
Training is over.
Oh my god, that's so painful. Meanwhile, Super Thanks gets to develop a really nice board in the field lane and has a Divine Fervor follow-up next turn, or whenever they want. Still no more actions.
Oh, the Mudcrab is a really nice pickup.
Let's see an Ice Storm.
Ice Storm wouldn't even cut you.
Nope.
I just want to
looking for a
creature
creature
or
here.
2-drop, yeah. Just any 1 or 2-drop.
And it's going to be a Servant of Dagoth versus a Highland Lurcher.
Yeah, the Highland Lurcher going over for Super Thanks. It's not the Lurcher we all love, but good enough sometimes.
It's still out there lurching.
Yeah.
Divine Fervor going to come down for Super Thanks. Lot of damage to push here if all of it goes face. Which, let's be honest, it's Halalu. We know what Halalu do.
Yeah, and this hand has just been absolute murder for Drew. He has had just no opportunity to do anything with his hand. Really unfortunate. He does run like more actions in the standard list, but not enough that this is the expected result. hitting just all of the actions with the cultist on board as kind of
In the what, top 15 cards maybe?
yeah.
Yeah, just about top 14 cards it's been for
He
done.
runs 2 mad dashes. He's hit them both. He runs 3 rituals. He's hit 2 of them. He's hit a bolt. He runs 2 swift strikes. He's hit 1 of those. He's just hitting all of the actions.
So the Dune Smuggler does allow a trade onto the Mournhold Trader, which saves you an attack. And then follow up. Then the follow up looks rough.
Yeah, none of this looks good. Yeah, he's gonna go with the trader. He's trying to stay alive. On
Priority
anyway.
number 1, and yeah.
And not sure if there's anything else to be done. We could go with the tome on this Mortal Trader, but nice. Just gonna tome on the Crabbo. Hit him for 3. See if by some miracle this cultist find its way to be removed.
A dark omen
By miracle,
for
I mean
you.
Shrieking Harpy. In that instance, Drew would have maybe looked to do some mad dash stuff to try and go in for lethal, but not even gonna entertain that thought. It's gonna be Super Thanks taking a 1-0 lead.
And in pretty decisive fashion as well. That's going to leave Drew on the mid Dagoth. Like you were kind of mentioning, a little more defensive Dagoth. So I think this matchup is probably going to be, if not favorable, at least even for Drew on this one. What do you think?
I think it's definitely a little bit favored for Drew, but we're talking favored in terms of probably 55-45, and that's just like
Right.
in a vacuum with the deck. That's not looking into draws, who has ring, all that sort of thing. It's gonna be like 55% against both of these decks, I think. Maybe even closer to 50% against mid BM. So it's gonna be tough for Drew to pull in 2 consecutive games.
Well, game has started, so we're going to jump in. Game 2 of the finals of WarpMeta Weekly number 51. Drew the Dolphin, Super Thanks, battling it out for the victory slot. In chat, let us know who you're rooting for. This may be your last shot, so make sure you get your appreciation in now. Super Thanks, getting 3 1-drops in the opening hand. Drew, keeping the hand of Dagoth with the ring, one of those power plays that you always love to see if you have it available, and aren't going to die before it gets down.
Yeah, you like, especially with the ring, you feel pretty confident about your ability to not die before this comes down. Double Morag Tong Aspirant is looking really nice for Super here in the early going.
Doesn't play either.
We see you
Yeah, I think he wants to see where
sleeping.
Drew is going to lead with his first creature.
I want to be an assassin.
Yep.
Like Nari.
So next turn we're
Makes
looking
sense.
into
I want to be an assassin.
Steel Scimitar and
like
Shadow
Nari.
Shift to take out this 2/3 and make another mini Nario.
Mournhold Trader on the draw for Drew. Maybe looking to race with the hand of Dagoth Drain.
Yeah, we're
We
looking-
see.
He did have the option here to go 3 into double 2. Would leave him with nothing else to do on that turn. Shadow Shift. It's going to be interesting to see. I think we're going to take this value trade just to, double dip on this Nario action.
I will have my
Looks like Super agrees.
I will have my
Going to try and get as many aspirants as possible.
Yep.
Drew draws another Mournhold Trader. Still has 2 ring charges available. Can get Surin Pawnbroker plot value
Yeah,
if that's
This
on the
base
agenda.
roll is going to be ridiculous.
If this is a curse,
Improvised
weapon
is not great because you do have the opponent coming back with the Narya value. He's looking for something like Suppress, Curse, Nord Firebrand there. He
do
may
you
still
even play it?
I don't think so. I think you're just trading into this 2/1 and you get the same result with the improvised weapon. The only difference is the 4/1 leaves the board. So the only upside using that improvised weapon is if you're worried this Narya is going to go face, and I don't think it is.
Super Thanks drawing a Mournhold Trader of his own.
I will have my vengeance.
Does trade into other trader. Gets some 2-1 action going in the field lane.
Some more Narya is ready to go. So he has a couple options
must
here.
protect
He's
the
gonna
Night
just be
Mother.
mana efficient. It was definitely a question whether he wanted to go Field or Shadow, respecting the ability of Drew to win the race with that last ring charge, bringing out the Big Daddy himself, Mr. Hand of Dagoth.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where you feel pretty comfortable just windmill slamming down some digital cardboard in field lane.
Yeah, well, I think like if this was any other situation, I think if this was any other deck rather, that's what he would have done. He would have just Instead of the field lane, you have to come back in here, which is going to give my, Mortong
That's true. If you are looking to race, then throwing that in the shadow lane definitely has a lot of merit.
Yeah, but he just didn't have the option. He has to respect the hand of Dagoth, so he can't just say, I'm going to race through the field lane. He has to keep playing an honest game. He can't cash in his lead quite yet.
Oh, I was talking about throwing the hand of Dagoth in the field.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm...
Yeah. Either way is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that Garnag in the shadow lane definitely is the correct play. Super Thank's going to develop 8/8 worth of stats on 5 Magicka because Halalu has some crazy things.
That black hand is a pickup and a half here.
That is super nice.
Getting a chance to play this with the Doomfang is really nice. You get to take out the Nari value, and now you get to jump back into field lane. You still have everything to contest through the shadow, and now we're kind of resetting the board state. Other option is to just kind of push yourself. Just go with everything face. No, we're not going with that line. We'll go with some face, not everything face.
We'll go with medium face, please.
Medium face, yes.
With a side of Doomfang, if you would be so kind.
And that's the
Does
medium
roll
face line.
ward.
With the Morkel in hand is quite nice too. He's gonna go with the
also
trader instead of the
plus
black
2-0.
He's not afraid of the Morktong. He doesn't want to jump field. He doesn't. The Black Hand gives him the option to jump back field if he wants to, but I think he feels he just doesn't need to. This Deepwood Trapper is gonna maybe change his mind about that.
What do you read from the Doomfang ally getting red and blue procs? Sentinel Battle Mace, maybe?
Oh, I think that's the only one in the deck.
Well, it could be running Merrick, I suppose, but
They are open deck lists. I don't think there's a Merrick in there.
I don't think so either.
Could be Frostscale Dragon.
I mean, you're theoretically correct. Yeah, it looks like
no,
the
it's just the
only
Battle Mace.
one is the Sentinel Battle Mace.
So that's interesting knowledge. Probably not something Super wants, considering considering the current board state. Probably not happy about it. That Maple Shield is quite nice though, because it is going to block off something.
Well, Maple Shield lets you trade into either the Trader or the Dagoth hand freely.
We've got the Trapper coming down.
Yeah. Decides to trade
Sword and Maple
into...
Shield.
Yeah. Get the value trade onto the hand of Dagoth, which is a giant threat. Always one you're happy to get rid of.
But this is
Battle Mace is in fact the draw.
This is a very strong position for Drew, but it's a very awkward one because of this Mournhold Trader. So you're looking at the ability to go Black Hand and Morkel Gatekeeper to basically push him down to 4, push him down to 5, which leaves him really vulnerable, knowing that you have the 2 damage from the Black Hand eventually. You have the Battle Mace in hand, but the Trader's going to guard it up, and the decision to not go back into field lane with his Black Hand Messenger means this Trader's going to get a ton of value. We're going to see the Trapper and the Trader come down, and the Shadow Lane's going to be effectively guarded. Drew's going to have to find another way through.
Black Hand Messenger coming down on 4-2, clear off a little bit of power.
Yep, this is the right line, I think, for Drew. He can't go face in this scenario because of the field lane being locked off. He's going to have to fight honestly, and very nice decision, because I think most people probably just blindly go face there. He makes a decision, I can't let this Trader die before I push some more damage.
The Corner Club Gambler coming down ditches the Trader. I think that makes sense. At this point in the game, you're not looking to give your opponent any advantages. Deepwood Trapper should go Shadow. Yep. We'll lock that up a good amount.
Very important draw here for Drew.
Cloak and Dagger, not huge,
Yeah.
but not terrible.
Not what he was looking for. This is looking pretty grim for Drew, I think. We're going to push the 9, but the follow-up just isn't there right now for him.
And there's very little from hand burst in this. There's the 2 copies of Cliff Racer, a copy of Ancano, and 1 Tazcad. And the Lightning Bolts. Okay, there's a little bit more than I expected.
I think what I expect to see here is I expect to see this Trader actually make the trade, because it's pushing the same amount of damage, but preserving the ward on the Black Hand could be a pretty big deal. The other option is to trade with the Doomfang and then ward up the Trader. But yeah, I think you don't get a shackle if you swing with the Black Hand, but I don't think you care about this Trader getting shackled because you assume it's gonna die anyway. But Drew disagrees. He's just gonna fire. He's going to take the line that prevents the shackle in the Black Hand, which is understandable.
You can throw the Cloak onto the Doomfang so that Super Thanks has no way to trade into it cleanly on board, but also if the Corner Club Gambler is going off, you assume they're going to find a way to get into that eventually.
So he's thinking about ordering here potentially. Just gonna go in.
A Deepwood Trapper draw for Super Thanks is really nice.
Yeah, so Super's gonna have 5 cards to react to this board. Deepwood Trapper looks quite nice. Shadow Shift and Pit Lion. Shadow Shift very solid as well to bring the guard back, although we're probably leaving that guard right where it is.
Yeah, you can shadow over the Aspirant
Yeah.
and get a little bit of trade value, and then you have relatively clean trades, except you have no way to get rid of the Doomfang ally on that 5 health.
Yeah, you are dead to Bolt now, which is dangerous, but drew on an empty hand.
And still with, what, 50 cards left?
Yeah.
64 cards left. That's 3 and 64. I was like, I'll take those odds.
Yeah, he can't leave himself... He can't actually leave himself double guarded because we're only going to have the Deepwood Trapper. So Cliff Racer would be an out as well, I believe. Because we're going to Shadow Shift over to kill the 7-2. Oh yeah, we do, because the second...
No, you
trader
kill the
card-
Mortal Trader.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, second trader card comes out.
And you can get the Shining Saint down to protect
make
your
a
Naru if you
friend?
want. No, because it still dies after that.
No, you can protect the Corner Corp, though. It's just a question
Yes.
of whether you want to do that.
You
Whether you want to play the second Corner Corp. I'm just going to play the second Corner Corp here.
You can also throw down a Deepwood Trapper just to be ultra safe if you feel like it.
Oh, I think you do, because that removes Cliff Racer as an out. Yeah, it removes 3 outs from the deck by playing the Trapper.
The draw for Drew will be a Blackhand Messenger.
Messenger is... Oh, it's not going to do it, but it's going to
it's
mostly
really close.
do it. Oh, it's really close.
It's 1 damage off. Because
But
you
have to figure out a way to sack it, too.
Ooh, that's true. Because you can sack your 1 Blackhand Messenger with the other. But then that's as far as that goes.
Rewarded for playing the Trapper as well, because this would be basically lethal. It would have pushed him to 1 with the Blackhand Messenger remaining on the board with 4 attack. So, saw how important it was to play that.
Positioning argument here for Drew going on as he hovers 1 lane to the next. Can clear both guards in Shadow, if that is what Drew desires. Can also take out guard in field. Is going to take out the Deepwood Trapper and also the 2-1 in the field lane. Deciding if I want to go back into that lane, I can. Hive Defender on the draw for Super Thanks is very nice.
Yeah, Hive Defender's
Ooh,
gonna...
and a Hollow Sharpshooter saves 2 health from that
Yeah.
1 Blackhand Messenger dying.
It's not super relevant at this point. We're basically just looking at the last Blackhand Messenger as being 1 but not 3 in this scenario, but just give him more time as well, because now if we see this come down on the 4-1 version, he still needs to find a way to trigger this last one, going 1 creature a turn. That's not a given.
You bet on the wrong side. You bet on the wrong side.
Super Thanks is going to push just a bit of damage, as much as he feels comfortable with. Not breaking a rune quite yet. Doesn't want to give Drew any additional resources. Keep him in top deck mode.
Yeah, so we have the option to go Shining Saint to remove cover and then trade in with the Naryu, Sharpshooter to remove the 4-1, and then Hive Defender Field to play around the Cliff Racer out.
I only need 1 shot.
Whoa!
Oh, sequencing error means that the Sharpshooter Scout does not get.
No, he's
to
just
do
he
the
doesn't
silence.
care. He's gonna because it is just the last Blackhand, so he just did that for the draw. He wants to more frequently set up his own lethal.
The Oriole do not waste
He
time.
could
Shining
have
Saint
just
coming
gone with the
down.
Shining Saint first, but maybe wanted to give himself another thing to draw, and then he doesn't remove the. I'm super confused about the super. And now Cliff Racer is still an out because he didn't guard out. And,
A draw is a lightning bolt, not quite it.
It's not gonna do it, but
It
the
might
Fervor.
as
Yeah,
well-
it's no, it doesn't.
Oh,
Because
Fervor's
Fervor's
can-
he's gonna kill him on the backswing.
Yeah.
What the heck is this game? There's only one place for this to go, though. There's only one place for this to go, and you're hoping for number
That goes.
2.
Yeah, that goes face, and you hope for a prophecy out. You pray to RN Jesus, let him take the wheel. Ooh, holds on to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
I'm not either. That seems ambitious to me. Divine Fervor going to come down. Super
Yeah,
Thanks
Yeah, I don't think
swinging
there's an
out.
here.
You bet on
Super
the
Thanks
wrong
gets
side.
1, gets 2, deciding on sequencing, making sure the rune skip is available. Swing
It doesn't matter,
3,
it's just too far over.
and that is going to be Super Thanks 2-0 with Halalu in the final
Barely
meta
hanging
number
on.
51.
Holy cow.
That was a nail biter, but congratulations to Super Thanks, making another finals appearance, taking it home this week. Really well done.
Yeah. Smork, man.
Yeah, this has been a very aggressive day. I was thinking to myself earlier, man, it's only like 4:30. I've had these go until 7 before in my time zone. It's funny what happens when you're in an aggro meta.
Yeah, we've definitely seen aggro jump back up as a response to, I think, both the Rage Warrior and both the slower mid-range decks like Sorcerer or Crusader and Halalu can kind of beat both of them, and that's where people are running with, and super able to take the tournament today because of it.
So what was your favorite moment from the day?
My favorite moment was the best game of the tournament was the one that we didn't get to cast.
Yeah, that was such a shame. That game was so interesting. We can
the
breakthrough rage
stuff. Yeah, that was really good. But no, it's a really, really fast tournament. We saw the controls starting off, but it became aggro, and we're gonna have to see people start to respond. We saw at the start of the Isle of Madness expansion, very slow decks, and then Rage Warrior coming in to prey on those. Now we're shifting to the more aggressive decks, and it's going to be interesting to see people try and counter this, because I'm looking at Super's decks, and none of the cards that are really on the table for the nerfs are in there. He's not running crabs in that Halalu. He wasn't running any catapult decks. He's just running the regular 1-drops, and these are still firing off fast, so people need to figure out a way to beat these decks.
Well, Ian, I have a question for you. If a viewer were to be curious to see if someone was going to adapt these lists, when is the next time we are doing one of these events so we can take a look?
The next time we're going to be doing an event is 2 weeks from today on March 24th. And then hopefully, we can't talk about specifics yet. We're not 100% done, but we're hoping we should be back with the expanded version of WarpMeta coming in April. Stay tuned. You can follow WarpMeta on Twitter. We will, again, shout it from the rooftops as soon as we know anything specific about when those tournaments are going to be starting. So go ahead and follow us on Twitter and sign up for the next tournament. These are getting bigger and bigger. We're having really good players, and interesting ideas keep making its way through. We saw Factotum Archer, and we saw the Mage from Drew, which are both kind of unheard of decks, and they made it pretty far in the tournament today. If you have any ideas like that, come show the world.
Yeah, and with that, if you're ever interested in hearing our thoughts, you can find us on Twitter as well. I'm at Lazergician.
Yeah.
Ian,
I am Ianbits. You can find me at twitch.tv/Ianbits. We're going to be playing some party Jackbox games there later, so follow me on Twitter, and I will post on there when we're going to do that.
And with that will bring Warp Meta Weekly number 51 to a close. Thank you all so much for joining us. Make sure to follow Warp Meta for updates, and we will see you all next time.
See you guys next time.